Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast, Saturday Night Live. Yes. And tonight is yours truly, me, Mr. B, Bruce Hope, and I am going to be holding it down solo. My guys had some stuff to do, so I don't normally do the Saturday Night Lives by myself, as you know. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do that tonight, and should be fun. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna chill for a few minutes here, wait till we get some people in the chat, then we are gonna go ahead and we're gonna set it off, and we got some pretty interesting topics for you. So let's take a few minutes and let's hang out, and while I watch the end of this Florida LSU game and watch the Gators put the finishing touches on the LSU Tigers. And for those of you who know me, you know I'm not an SEC guy, but I will say, go Gators, right? Definitely. And I'll break that down to you in a few minutes why I feel that way about it. But we'll just chill for a few minutes, and then we'll get it popping. Yeah, Brian Kelly does not look happy, and I can always enjoy that. There we go. All right. Ooh, Gators got 7 sacks tonight. That's vicious. I like that, though. I like that. Go Gators for tonight. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just wait a couple more minutes. See if we can get a couple more people in the chat. Then I'll go ahead and do my thing, and we will have some fun talking some sports tonight. So let's see what's going on. We'll just wait another minute or two, and then we'll get started. In case you're wondering what I'm doing while I'm waiting, I'm just sitting here watching the end of this Florida LSU game. Very happy about that. Obviously, Notre Dame is over. They won, so I'm great there. But this is a little bit of icing on the cake. And then I'll have Georgia and Tennessee on while I'm broadcasting with y'all. So definitely should be a good night. Salam Sneed was good, my brother. Good to see you, brother. How are you, man? Good to see you. Transformer, you know better, man. You better go to YouTube and hit that like button. You know better, bro. Come on now. Let's see. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get started, you know what time it is. I'm gonna hit my little thing, and then we'll get it. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. All right, so shouts to everybody who's here, man. I appreciate y'all. Let's get it going. So we got some good topics tonight. I think definitely should enjoy it. First, obviously, as you can see by the rundown, we're going to talk Tyson and the Netflix dud. That was an interesting situation, and a not so interesting fight. Then we'll go to the NBA. We'll talk about the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers and are they not getting as much love as they deserve? We will talk about LeBron James, my arguably least favorite player ever, but we got to give him his flowers where they're due and talk about the fact that he is still at it at a tremendous pace for somebody who's been around so long. And then finally, we'll finish it up with the NFL and talk a little bit about who is the best team in the NFC. Bruce, what's good, bro? I'm gonna get to that, man. I'm definitely gonna get to that. It's not gonna be a whole topic, but I'm definitely gonna talk about it. And it's funny, I was talking to my homeboy about it earlier, and I mentioned that exact thing, that I can't wait to hear what he has to say about it on Monday on his show. So yeah, I'm gonna get to that. Somehow, man, you're always a step ahead of me on these topics, man. But I appreciate the love. All right, so let's get started with some quick hits first. All right, so the first quick hit, as I mentioned while I was kind of waiting for some people to get into the chat here, I'm a big college football fan, as you all know. I am a diehard Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, and Notre Dame continues to do what they've been doing for the most part all season. They have been dominating the weaker teams on their schedule, and that's what the good teams do, right? The really good teams dominate the weaker teams that they play. They beat Virginia today 35-14. I think they were up 28-0 at half. So kind of disappointing that they didn't score more and really run it up on them in the second half, and not run it up on them in terms of being unsportsmanlike, but run it up on them in terms of, college football, the whole eye test, and you got to impress the committee with big wins and all this nonsense. So you got to do it how you got to do it. But Marcus Freeman has this team playing really well, especially after that terrible week 2 loss to Northern Illinois. And realistically, that's probably the worst loss of any playoff contending team in the country. And Notre Dame is still paying for that. But they have done exactly what they should have done ever since then. They have taken it one game at a time, 1 week at a time. What do we say? Go 1-0 every week. And that's what they've been doing. And they've got 2 weeks left to do that. They've got Army next week, which could be a tougher matchup than they anticipate. Obviously, playing those service academy teams with that triple option, wing T, veer type offense is very difficult to defend. Takes a lot of eye discipline, a lot of really good film study. And the fact that they're so different offensively from every team that you will play from the rest of the season makes it even more difficult to deal with. But they have to go out there and they have to get it done. And then they will finish up at USC, who I'm sure a lot of people thought would be a lot better this year, but aren't. So Notre Dame has 2 games left. They win both of those games, and they may have a legitimate chance to host a playoff game in the first ever 12-team playoff in the first round. So this could get very interesting. So that's Notre Dame. That's that quick hit. I'm not going to get too much into it. Second quick hit. As my main man Bruce mentioned, Colorado Buffaloes. Some of you have been here with me for a while. Some of you are newer. Last year on this very show, I said that Colorado coming into the Big 12 had a legitimate chance to win the conference. And here they are with a legitimate chance. I think they need 2 more wins, and they will play for the Big 12 conference championship. And with that offense and with the way the defense is rounding into form and really playing well under defensive, I think, assistant D-line coach Warren Sapp, you see them really getting after the passer. They're doing a better job stopping the run. No one's going to mistake them for Georgia defensively, but that is a really much improved, I should say, defensive football team. So they're doing that. We know the offense, when they get going with Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and the rest of those weapons, can be a real laser light show. You just got to keep Shedeur Sanders upright. And I believe that by far he's the best quarterback in the country. I believe that by far, out of all the quarterbacks coming out this year, he will have the best NFL career. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I believe by far he's better than every quarterback that came out last year. That should tell you how high I am on Shedeur Sanders. I think the guy is that freaking good. But with all of that said, I do believe, and I said it last year, as I mentioned, Colorado has a legitimate chance to win the Big 12. If they do that in their very first season in the Big 12, in Coach Prime's second season as head coach of Colorado, in just the 3rd season since Colorado was 1-11 overall, with an average loss, point differential of -29, they will have made the college football playoff. Is that not a story? Is that not a story? And Bruce, he mentioned Jason Whitlock. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Jason Whitlock. He is Bruce said it. He is not a big fan of Coach Prime. He doesn't like the way Coach Prime does things, and that's his prerogative. But also, he's been consistently ripping him on his show. And Jason Whitlock, he's an African-American, longtime sports writer and journalist, and now he hosts I'll say a very conservative show on YouTube, which he has some sports talk. He mixes that in with some political talk, so on and so forth. And I'm not going to get into that, but I will say he's not, a lot of African-Americans aren't huge fans of his. I won't say where I am in my stance on that, but I will say that Jason Whitlock, again, he's the guy who carries the water for the right. That said, I think there's nothing wrong with being able to listen to both sides, whether you agree or not, right? You can always learn from people, whether it's learning not what to say, learning not what to do, whether or not you agree with people, you can always still learn something somehow, right? So anyway, Jason Whitlock, he's been kind of banging on Coach Prime since last season. And it's going to be funny because he has had to, as this season has progressed, begrudgingly admit that Coach Prime has done an outstanding job. He hasn't used the word outstanding, but I'll put that in for him. An outstanding job in building up this Colorado program and having a great deal of success with it. So it's kind of funny. That's why I'm saying, like, Monday morning, I will be excited to hear his show and hear what he has to say about it. In these situations, it's funny to hear each week what somebody has to say when they're kind of forced to eat crow, right? All right, so there's that. And then finally, the third part of this quick hit when it comes to college football is Brian Kelly, former head coach of Notre Dame Fighting Irish, left the team 3 years ago. Yes, this is Marcus Freeman's third year. So he left the team 3 years ago and he went to quote unquote greener pastures, right? What does he mean by that? He went and became the head coach of the LSU Tigers in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in the SEC. And so he left there and everyone was applauding him. First of all, I'm not sure why, when everyone knows that he was LSU's second choice, they wanted Lincoln Riley, but they only grabbed him because Lincoln Riley shunned them and went to USC. But that's a different story. Anyway, what's up, Steve? Man, you're on one tonight already, I see. So anyway, Brian Kelly goes to LSU and everyone's talking about, oh, he wanted to go where the big boys play and he wanted to go where he would have a chance to win. And, he wanted to go, well, really where he wanted to go was a place where he didn't have to do the work to recruit, because in that part of the country, right, everyone in Louisiana grows up playing football, wanting to play for LSU. So the recruiting is almost done by itself. And then, you have that small area if you want to get out, maybe grab a couple of Florida guys, a couple of Georgia guys, some Mississippi guys, some Alabama guys, right? But for the most part, your recruiting is covered by itself. And then, of course, you don't have the strenuous academic conditions for the student athletes at LSU versus a place like Notre Dame. Obviously, you have the weather advantage. So Brian Kelly, he thought he was just going to walk into it. Everything was going to be gravy and that he would be all good. But he hasn't been able to get it done yet. Now, he did get a Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels last year. So shouts to him for that. But you see, he's really struggling this year. I want to say that's the third loss for LSU this year, I believe, right? So that's the third loss for LSU. They just got beat by a bad Florida team in the swamp. What does that say? And you're starting to hear from the LSU media contingent. You even heard last week from the Louisiana governor. He took a shot at the LSU Tiger football program, and people are really not happy with Brian Kelly. And it's so funny because as Notre Dame fans, we were all we were not upset at all when Brian Kelly decided to move on to, again, these quote unquote greener pastures. We weren't upset at that at all. But I'll tell you, me personally, as a Notre Dame fan, what I was upset about was that his coaching staff and that his former players had to hear that, online instead of hearing it from him. And then when they heard it, he gave a quick press conference the following morning. And I think he spoke to the team for less than 5 minutes. I didn't respect that at all. This is a team where all these players literally, put their bodies on the line for you week in and week out. And during the summer when they were getting in the weight room for workouts and all that. And I'm not saying necessarily you owe them, but you owe them better than what you gave them. And that's 5 minutes to say, hey, I guess you heard. All right, I'm out, and that's not cool. So anyway, all the LSU people, they thought we were just jealous that he was leaving and going to them. But it's funny because now they're seeing what it really is. And you're seeing reports, if you're into college football, about how people in and around the LSU program don't like Brian Kelly. So every time he loses, we Notre Dame people, we just take probably an inordinate and maybe even unhealthy amount of joy in watching that happen. So it was real cool to watch a bad Florida team beat Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. So that was fantastic. So that's my quick hits on college football, and definitely wanted to make sure I talked about that. So, second quick hit. I'm not going to get too much into this because it's just kind of in talks. So we know that I know I've been one of the main people talking about the terrible state of the NBA, right? Because you get all these people, I know, and that's for the most part younger people, but the millennials and the Gen Z, or however you classify them, and they're always telling me, "Oh, Bruce, you're just an old head hater. The modern NBA, the players today are so much better. The NBA is so much better." And I keep saying it: the product is terrible. The product is terrible. The product is terrible. No one wants to listen to me, right? A big part of the reason why the product is terrible, LeBron. For instance, the All-Star game and the All-Star weekend, the All-Star game has gotten terrible. Why? Guys don't want to compete. They're on all this friendly crap. They don't want to go out there and get busy. Back in the day, even guys who were friends were still going at each other in the All-Star game, right? Again, nobody's saying that they should behave as if it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but you guys are making a lot of money. The fans are watching you. Go out there and compete. Give the fans something to see. Even beyond that, back in the day, if you were an athletic player, a high-flying player, what was kind of your unspoken responsibility as an NBA high flyer and athletic player? Was to participate in the slam dunk contest. LeBron made it cool for those type of players not to participate in the slam dunk contest. Now, I know people go, "Oh, you're a hater, why everything gotta be LeBron?" Because guys were doing it until LeBron decided that he wasn't going to. You can get mad at me all you want, but that is the case. All right. So we know the glamour event of All-Star Weekend, that's now pretty much, turned to dust. And that's the slam dunk contest. Now that's been taken over by the 3-point contest, because honestly, I don't even care about the slam dunk contest anymore. I want to see the 3-point contest and what's going to happen there. The All-Star game itself in the NBA has almost gone to like turning into the Pro Bowl in the NFL. And the Pro Bowl, as you know, is now gone. They don't even play it anymore. So I doubt that the All-Star game has too much longer to last. And the reason I bring this up as a quick hit, because I was reading an article, and this is Sports Illustrated online, and it says the headline is NBA in talks on bold new format for 2025 All-Star game in San Francisco. And the first thing I thought was, man, the NBA is in bad shape, right? And especially the All-Star weekend. Why? Because they keep having to try and change and tweak and adjust this All-Star game to try and regain some interest, right? And remember, a few weeks back, I did the show with President Obama, and he flat out told Tyrese Halliburton, like, yo, well, he didn't say you guys suck, but basically he's like, you guys aren't playing hard. You need to do something to fix this All-Star game because it's terrible, and I'm not going to be watching anymore, right? And there are tons and tons of people who would echo that sentiment, guys who are basketball fans who remember a better day and a better product in the NBA. And it's not just in my day, or, old man yelling at clouds, or, hey, you kids, get off my lawn. It's not just that, right? It's really, if you just look at it, game for game, the product was better back then. And so anyway, what we have now, and we know this because Adam Silver was utterly disgusted by the state of the NBA All-Star game for the last few of them, right? Last year before the All-Star game, I think it was in Indianapolis, Larry Bird and Dr. J and those guys literally had to come into the locker rooms and try to beg these guys to compete. Now, are we serious? Like, who would have had to come into the locker room and beg Larry Bird and Dr. J and Michael Jordan to compete? Man, those guys wanted to get out there and go get it. But, that mentality doesn't exist today in these modern players. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, Sneed, you're 100% right. That's what happens when you cater to casuals that aren't loyal to the game. Snowflakes leave as quick as they showed up. That's a great analogy. I love that. Snowflakes hit the ground, they melt, they turn to water. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's terrible. So anyway, NBA in talks on bold new format. So what is the, I guess, possibly suggested possible new format? Shams Charania, NBA insider, he says the league executives, coaches, and players have been in discussions to revamp the league's All-Star weekend over the last 6 months, discussing a new format with the competition committee. And so the changes are set to be sweeping. Shams explains, with a new 4-team tournament-style format consisting of 3 All-Star teams and the winner of the Rising Stars game. Each All-Star team would reportedly consist of 8 players each. So that tells you They're just trying to come up with something. At this point, it almost seems like they're trying to get anything, throw it on the wall, see what sticks, and try to get something to get people interested in the NBA All-Star game again. And the fact that they have to do this and go through all of this stuff, NBA players should be ashamed. And those same people who are telling me that the modern NBA product is so much better, man, you can just hold that, because we see that it's not. They're trying so hard to come up with this stuff. Let's see. Lou, what's going on? Notice none of these old heads say this about any sport besides the NBA. That's a fact. That is a fact, because in other sports, Lou, as you know, guys are still trying to compete, right? And we get it. We understand that the money is huge in the NBA, and when you're making that much money, it's really hard to get guys to compete, right? I think I've said this on the show here before. Marvelous Marvin Hagler, the great fighter, rest God bless the dead, he once said it's hard to get up and run 6 miles when you're sleeping in silk pajamas. You know what I mean? Lou also says Adam Silver and LeBron James and his agency have totally ruined the NBA. The entitlement, the narcissism, acting like a diva above competition. It's also filtered down. Lou, you're 100% right. I couldn't say it any better. I don't have anything to add to that. You're right. Lou also says, oh, here we go. Now with Bronny, it's like a bad joke. LeBron fans are basically people that eat at a horrible restaurant and defend it because it's the only place they ever ate at. Lou coming with the great analogies tonight. You kicking it, Lou. You spitting fire, bro. Get the fire extinguisher, man. Don't burn your crib down. I appreciate that, though. That's good stuff you're saying, because it's true. And I'll tell you real quick, I'm not going to let this devolve into a Bronny thing. It's so interesting. You literally have people saying, like, you got so much hate for that man, LeBron. Now you transferring it to Bronny, which is like utterly absurd and wild to me. But, you know, that's how some of these people are. But anyway, back to the quick hit. What they're trying to do is basically take the All-Star game, and they're trying to do anything they can to save it, because they know that was a huge money maker for the NBA that whole weekend. Also, they're trying to, I think they're trying to capitalize on the 3-point shootout, which obviously we know is now the glamour event with the changes in the way the game is played, etc. That's the new glamour event of All-Star Weekend. Last year, you had Steph Curry in a shootout against Sabrina Ionescu of the WNBA champion New York Liberty, which was actually awesome, because the year before in the WNBA 3-point shootout, Sabrina Ionescu, she set the 3-point shootout record for male or female with the most makes. And she shot last year against Steph head-to-head, and that was pretty cool. Steph ended up winning, but it was really good. And I think Ionescu was shooting from the men's line too. The only difference was she was using the women's ball. But so that was real cool. And so now they are looking to do, they're looking to do possibly a NBA and NBA versus WNBA shootout. So not just Stephanie Ionescu, but maybe Klay Thompson would be involved. Caitlin Clark might be involved. These are some of the things that you're hearing. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, that tells you that Steve, you're a funny dude. At the end of the day, what does that tell you? That tells you that the NBA is in a bad place, and they are desperate, and they're trying to do every and anything they can do to find something to save this faltering product. That's all there is to it. All right. That's enough for the quick hits. Those quick hits took a little longer than I thought, but you know me. Once I get going, I get going. But yeah. So that's it for the quick hits for now. So let's do this. All right. Let's get to the first topic, y'all. Last night. Well, let me go back a little bit. A few days ago, Thursday night? Today's Saturday, Thursday night, 2 days ago, I did a live, and I talked about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson and the big fight on Netflix, and I discussed how Jake Paul had a path to victory in that fight. I also, in fairness, I did say I thought Mike Tyson was going to win. And maybe some of that was the nostalgia talking. I'm 46 years old. So, I was in grade school when Mike Tyson was at his absolute peak of his powers, demolishing everything in front of him. And just, I remember how great the dude was, right? But clearly that's not the same Mike Tyson. And I didn't expect to see that Mike Tyson, but I am surprised. I'm not going to say pleasantly, but I'm surprised that Jake Paul was actually able to execute the plan that I mentioned. Maybe not to the level that I thought he needed to, but he did it. So Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was the main event on, I think, Netflix's first foray into live sports, and that was last night. So a lot of stuff went on there, and it wasn't all good, right? So you had a couple undercard fights and then a co-main event. So let's real quick, before we even get to Tyson and Jake Paul, the co-main event of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. That I actually didn't see the first fight. That was a rematch. The first fight, a lot of people saw as arguably the greatest women's boxing match of all time, and one of the greatest slugfest / firefight / whatever you want to call it in boxing history, period, right? I saw some highlights from it. I was like, whoa, they was going. And so I said, all right, I'm going to make sure that I watch this fight tonight, tonight being last night. And I was thoroughly impressed, man. Those ladies got after it. They weren't with I'm not saying they didn't employ technique, but they also weren't with the, running and being on a bicycle. They really got in there and they competed. Because what do I always say, man? Boxing is a warrior sport, and you have to have a warrior mentality. And those women, they had it last night, right? And we'll talk a little bit about the controversy that was kind of involved in that fight. But Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano really got after it. And I'll say, if you're a men's boxing fan, the best analogy I can give in terms of a similar men's fight would be Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward, right? Especially that first fight. If anybody remembers round 9, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward, one of the greatest firefights in probably the history of boxing. That round 9 of that, probably right there with round 1 of Hagler Hearns, right? Those type of fights where just standing in there, really letting it loose, really going at it, and just, seeing who is going to get it done. Steve, I gotta disagree with you. It's Steve says women fighting is gross, and I gotta disagree. It's not, women just fighting on the street acting crazy. These are two women boxers. So I said, let me watch this fight. And because I was a big fan of Layla Ali when she was fighting, she was more of a technician. But she was more of a technician. She had some power, but more of a technician. But then watching this fight, watching those two ladies go at it, as I said, it was really reminiscent to me of, that Hagler Hearns round 1 and that Gatti Ward round 9. I thought it was awesome. They really got into it. Now, here's where the controversy comes in. First of all, I think Amanda Serrano got robbed. I believe she connected on twice the power punches. She threw more, like 200 more punches, and she did her thing, but somehow Katie Taylor ended up getting the decision, which I thought was like, I didn't like that at all. But here's the other thing. Amanda Serrano is a southpaw, which means she is a left-handed fighter, which means she leads with her right hand and right foot. And Katie Taylor is a conventional fighter, which means she leads left hand, left foot. So when she's coming in, and she's significantly shorter than Amanda Serrano. So when she's coming in, what happens? You have the headbutt. She headbutted her a number of times, one of which she actually was docked a point. And that's another thing, right? She was docked a point, still somehow managed to win on the cards. But anyway, so you're watching and you're saying, you're watching this fight and you're like, damn, Amanda Serrano's doing her thing. But she had a brutal cut over her eyebrow from the headbutt by Katie Taylor. And that turned into a big thing. Like I said, to the point that the referee docked Katie Taylor a point. After the fight was announced, Amanda Serrano, as well as her trainer, both had a lot of strong commentary in the ring after the fight, saying that Katie Taylor did this purposefully. Amanda Serrano is also a UFC fighter. She was saying that in all the fights she's been in, she's never had cut issues until she fought Katie Taylor the first time. And again, this time she pointed to other fights Katie Taylor has had where people have gotten cuts from headbutts from her. So I haven't watched the other Katie Taylor fights. I'm not going to speak to it like I'm an aficionado, but I did think it was interesting. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you, just watching that fight, knowing a little something about boxing, I'm not going to brag, I know a little something about boxing. I believe Amanda Serrano was robbed in that fight, plain and simple. So that was the controversy there. But it was an outstanding action fight if you watched it and you wanted to see an action fight. Steve Splendor says Taylor's footwork was awful and she kept falling forward, leading with her head. No, I disagree that the footwork was awful. I think it was a matter of, you see this all the time in fights when you have a southpaw fighter versus a conventional fighter, just because they're on opposites when they get close, when they get in the clinch, and especially if one is shorter than the other, a lot of times you see the headbutts happen and somebody gets split. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. I don't know that I believe that Katie Taylor was doing this purposefully. And in her defense, Amanda Serrano, she put out a post, I think on X today, either X or Instagram, maybe both. And she apologized for insinuating, or stating, not even insinuating, for saying that she believed that Katie Taylor was doing that on purpose. She kind of chalked it up to, the heat of battle immediately after the fight. And sometimes that is true, whatever the sport is, whether it's boxing or basketball or football or what have you, you interview somebody immediately after that sport is over. They haven't had time to calm down. They haven't had time to kind of cool off and get their thoughts together. They'll kind of say whatever. And so she did apologize for that today. And she said if they can work it out, she's down for the rematch. So that's a fight I would watch again. I'm not even going to lie to you. That is a fight that I would watch for a third time. So, so a great fight. So that was the co-main event, right? Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. Outstanding fight. Then you have the main event everybody's been waiting for, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. And all right, can I admit something to y'all? I got fooled, man. I got fooled. I felt like watching, the training videos Mike Tyson was putting out, et cetera, the work he was putting in. I felt like if he could get to Jake Paul within the first couple of rounds, he would have a legitimate chance to beat him because of his power. But then you just watch, Mike is not the same. His reflexes aren't the same. At 58 years old, what did I expect, right? He's not able to slip punches and move the same way. He can't get inside the same way. Jake Paul did exactly what I said was the path to victory. What was that? He was on his bicycle. He was moving. He was sticking as he was moving. He had a significant reach advantage on Tyson, which was never an issue when Iron Mike was younger, but it is now that he doesn't have the legs or the explosiveness, to get inside. Let's see. Steve says, why you got fooled, bro? Anyone can throw 5 punches in a 3-second clip. No, I feel you, Sneed. It just looked like, one, at 58 with the way he was training, like he was out there running, he was out there lifting, he was out there actually running sprints, which even when you see one of these older guys getting one of these fights or whatever, right, charity fight or an event like that, you don't see him running sprints and doing all that stuff, right? So I was under the impression also that, like, when you see him doing the mitt work, I felt that he still had the head movement. His combinations looked good. They looked sharp. Now, I absolutely didn't believe he would have the stamina to be able to hang in there. And that's why I said on my preview that if Jake Paul got on his bike after round 3, he would be able to kind of take over the fight. And that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly how it played out. So, yeah, that's why I got fooled. Let's see. Lou says, when I heard Tyson say legacy doesn't matter, I knew he was just in for that cash grab and I didn't watch it. So, you know what? I disagree with that, Lou. I don't think it was a function of when he said legacy doesn't matter, he didn't care. I don't believe that. I think that's just the way he kind of sees life. Like, a lot of times when you listen to interviews that he does and stuff like that, he just has I want to say an almost like fatalistic worldview. That's just kind of how he sees things. So I didn't take it as he was just in for the cash grab. So Netflix, as we'll go ahead and we'll talk about this part a little bit. Netflix had their own issues, right? And what were Netflix's issues? Netflix's issues were that they said that 60 million people tuned in to watch the Tyson-Jake Paul fight, right? Which I think is the biggest audience for a combat sport event ever, right? Netflix also said that 50 million tuned in for the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. So why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because Netflix servers, their network infrastructure was not prepared for this. And if you watch or read the tweets and read articles about it today and all that stuff, Netflix broke. For those of us who watched it, I don't know about anybody here, but I know a number of people were reporting, and I experienced it myself, that there was constant buffering, there was constant freezing, the sound was going out, just the overall, the technical work of the presentation was just piss poor, if we're honest. And Netflix, that was really bad for their first foray into live sports programming. And they need to get this fixed quickly, because come Christmas Day, they've got 2 football games that they need to broadcast. And the NFL, obviously, is counting on them to put out a good product. So you got that. Bruce says, I must admit, Jake Paul is a huge draw. 65 million people watched it. Yeah. I mean, I knew that he was an influencer, and, he had a lot of people wanting to see what he was going to do. But even with that said, I didn't expect that many people were going to watch it. But hey, shouts to them, shouts to him. He did his thing. And, if you watched, I mean, it was just, like I said, it was tough to watch. And you can see, look, he's just sticking and moving calmly. So Mike, you saw that was one that he landed early, but he wasn't able to consistently get in there. And now the old Mike Tyson can slip this. Not 58-year-old. Well, he is the old Mike Tyson now, but you know what I mean? The younger Mike Tyson, he could have slipped that. And even Roy Jones Jr. said, 4 or 5 years ago, he was surprised at how well Mike Tyson was slipping punches, but that's not the same one. Also, Mike Tyson clearly didn't have the legs under him. And then even at the ends of the rounds, you could see how exhausted he was just walking back to his corner and how long it took him to get up off the stool at the end of the round breaks, So it was something to watch. So you see, Jake Paul was landing clearly. So I was talking to some people today, and they were saying, they feel like Jake Paul. They feel like Jake Paul kind of carried him, and he didn't close Mike Tyson out when he could have. And I call BS on that one. And the reason I call BS on that one is because Jake Paul knew that to try and knock Mike Tyson out, he would have to stand in there and really throw with him. And he was concerned about the fire that was going to come back. And that's real, because what do they say? The last thing to go on a fighter is the punching power, right? So he was concerned about it. That's why he was not going to go in there and risk anything. He was going to pot shot him from the outside. If he could land along a right hand, then he was going to do that. But he wasn't going to actually go in there and try to, exchange with him, because Mike can still catch you to the body. He can still catch you with an uppercut. He can do those things. The power is still there. But Mike really needs to hang it up. He really needs to hang it up. I mean, we all love Mike, but it's clear that the nostalgia we had was I guess it was false, and that there was no way that we were ever going to see anything even close to the Mike Tyson that we once knew and loved again. And so he needs to just go ahead and definitively say, I'm never going to fight again, because it's unfortunate he's making a mockery of his once greatness. And that, that's the thing. Steve said Jake Paul is an L. Women fighting is an L. Me falling down my basement steps earlier was an L. This cold weather is an L. Yeah, Jake Paul's an L. The women fighting, I disagree with you, because like I said, that Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor was the best fight of the night, hands down. They were going at it. Me falling down my basement steps earlier was an L. Yeah, man. Hope you're okay. This cold weather is an L. Well, I'm in Florida. It doesn't get too cold here, but I will say I miss the snow. All right. So yeah, Jake Paul, man. Now we got what I don't like about this whole thing. Now we got this guy talking about he wants Canelo next. I'm like, come on. Like, I respect the fact that you think you're taking this seriously, but Canelo, he may not be in his prime, but I think Canelo would beat the dog crap out of Jake Paul. Like, don't do that. You don't have to be a Canelo fan, and I'm not. You don't have to be a Canelo fan to acknowledge that. Like, that's just silly. First of all this going up and down in weight. What was Jake Paul last night? 228, 227. So even if he fights at cruiserweight, that's going to be really tough. What's cruiserweight? About 190. So he's going to have to drop 30 pounds to fight Canelo. All right, so Bruce, let me answer this. Jake Paul said he showed him grace. Bruce, he didn't show him grace. What I said was, I don't know if you heard it. I don't believe he showed him grace at all. I believe he was smart, because he knew if he wanted to finish him off, he'd have to go in there and stand close enough where fire might come back, and he didn't want any parts of that. I do not believe that. Let's see. Teddy Atlas, despised Mike, said Mike only had 5 real fights in his life and he lost all 5. Wow. Yeah, I know he does despise Mike. There was the whole thing of, I think he said that Mike at one point like touched his niece inappropriately when they were probably about like 15, 16, and he pulled the gun on him and he was like, yo, you do that again, I'll effing kill you. So there's that. But so yeah, that's what we got, man. Netflix blew it because their network infrastructure was in terrible shape. They weren't prepared to deal with that. I don't know why they wouldn't be, though. If you expect a massive draw and a massive viewership for this fight, why would you not have your network infrastructure properly prepared? But I guess they're looking at it and say, hey, better that than we anger the NFL with having these problems on a Christmas Day game. So, your favorite hater. What's good, your favorite hater? Does this hurt Tyson's legacy? No, but he just needs to hang it up. It doesn't, because he still gets away with, he's 58 years old, right? It's almost like, and we'll kind of get to this later. It's almost like at one point I heard Chris Broussard say, there's nothing pretty much that can hurt LeBron's legacy right now, because whatever he does is icing on the cake, right? He's already had a Hall of Fame career. Some people think he's the GOAT. Some people think he's the second best player of all time. I don't think he's either of those, but not the point. So, but he says, if LeBron doesn't win anymore, and even if he starts playing poorly, it's year 22. So what? If he does win, then that's amazing. Me personally, I don't really go by that. You can't have it both ways like that. But so the point I'm trying to make is, no, it doesn't hurt Tyson's legacy because he's 58 years old and he was going against a guy who is 31 years younger than him. But he really needs to hang it up. There's no reason to do anything more like this. It was cool. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Sneed. That was a terrible mentality. But we also know that Broussard is kind of on the payroll. So there's that too. But anyway, yeah, you're right, Steve. Yeah. So your favorite hater, no, I don't believe it hurts Tyson's legacy, but it is a definitive statement to Tyson that he needs to hang it up and not try to do this anymore. He just doesn't have it anymore. And it's not because he doesn't want to have it anymore. It's just because he physically cannot have it anymore. He just physically can't. Lou says LeBron might not hurt his overall legacy as a Hall of Famer and all-time great player, but he is moving not closer to GOAT status, but all the antics and cheating the game are moving him further. I absolutely agree with you on that because it's funny. Even all the people who constantly caped up for him with all his nonsense, they are being forced to criticize him. Even those who never wanted to do it. Brian Windhorst, who literally made his career off of LeBron, he was forced to criticize LeBron the other day, and you could see how much it hurt him to have to do it in terms of this whole Bronny thing, right? So, there's all of that. It's going to get worse and worse. Nino, what's good, my brother? Good to see you here, man. Always good to see my main man, Nino. Lou says, Nino says, Lou, how do you cheat the game? Nino, we're not going to do that right now, man. We're not going to do that because as you can see, I am going to attempt to give LeBron flowers in that third topic. All right. So bear with me. All right. It might not be as much as you want, but just bear with me. So anyway, Mike Tyson last night was a dud. Netflix was a dud. Overall, the best thing about last night in that card was Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano putting on an absolute barn burner. I really enjoyed that fight, but yeah, that is what I've got. That's what I got on that first topic. All right. So I'm going to put the number in the chat. That's 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. And I'm going to open up the phone lines. If anybody wants to call in and give me your thoughts on boxing, on Mike Tyson, on Jake Paul in boxing, Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, Netflix dropping the ball on their technical specifications last night. Give me your thoughts, man. I want to hear from you. Let's get it. In the meantime, let's go through some more of these chats, and then if we don't get any calls, we'll just move on. Steve says, "Le PEDs, Le Diddy, Le Daddy Daycare ain't gonna help his legacy." Wow. Yeah, but at this point, Steve, nothing is going to hurt LeBron's legacy unless, like you said, unless he gets caught out there with, literally, unless he gets caught out there and it gets exposed with the Diddy party stuff as doing something really terrible at said parties. Or unless he legitimately gets caught, busted with a dirty test for the PEDs. Those are the only two things that are going to hurt LeBron. Not that I'm advocating it, of course. I absolutely would never. But I legitimately believe that if LeBron was to smack his wife, somehow he would get away with that. There's almost nothing this guy could do. There's almost nothing this guy could do to ruin his legacy. That is how powerful the media the media protection is around this guy. It's that powerful. All right, 2 more minutes. Let's see if anybody wants to call in and give us your thoughts on last night on Tyson and Tyson, Netflix, the boxing card, all of that. In the meantime, for those of you who are college football fans, Georgia and Tennessee are about to play. And again, if y'all know me, I am not an SEC guy at all. However, they are very important to the fabric of college football because they play a major role in how things shake out. Their conference wields an inordinate amount of power. And so tonight, I'm rooting for Tennessee to win this game at Georgia, Sanford Stadium. And the reason why is because at that point, if Georgia has 3 losses, it's going to be almost impossible for the committee to justify putting them into college football playoff. And even though they could have 3 losses, if they got in, they would still be one of the best teams in the country. And Kirby Smart is easily one of the best coaches in the country. And he would have those guys ready to go, and they would still be dangerous enough to make a run and win the national championship. And I don't want to see that. So I'm rooting for Tennessee tonight. So let's see what happens. Steve says, here's the deal, LeBron. Okay, we'll talk about this later. And we'll ask him about the PD list. Right. Right, biogenesis, they won't hurt him. Yup. Exactly. All right, y'all. So I am going to go ahead at this point. Looks like we're not going to have any calls about the Tyson Netflix piece, and that's okay. But let's go over to the NBA, and this will probably be a quick topic. And I got to say, right, as a member of the media, right, and as a member of the independent media, somebody who is also J school graduate, trained journalist, was a member of the sports media, like the mainstream sports media at one point. This is interesting. And why is this interesting? It is interesting that the Cleveland Cavs are 14-0 to start this NBA season. Everyone was talking about the Boston Celtics, right? Because they're the defending champions. They play really well, great team, all that. Everyone was talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, year 22, Bronny James, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not a quick topic per se, Sneed. It's just not something that I've done a ton of research into. It kind of crept up on me, so we will probably go more into depth on that. And also, I don't have my guys with me to really expound on this, but I did want to talk about it because it deserved the respect. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give these Cavs a little bit of love here. So anyway, the Cleveland Cavaliers start out the season 14-0. They have not lost yet. They are playing awesome basketball, and there's a couple of things about that that I found interesting, right? So one, I was mentioning I am a trained and credentialed journalist, right? I've done this. So here's the problem, right? I find it kind of frustrating. I kind of find it a little off that no one is really talking about the Cavs. Like, for the most part, they're not getting love, right? Because why? They're not a major media market. They're not a sexy story. They don't really have like a superstar player, even though Donovan Mitchell is really freaking good. They don't have a superstar type player. And so you see them and they're doing their thing very quietly. And I'm sure they're good with that. Maybe a couple of the guys are like, damn, how come nobody's talking about us? But I'm sure the coach is using that and say, hey, make them talk about you, right? Nobody's talking about you. Keep winning. Make them talk about you. So I get it. Yeah. So let's see. Steve says, I'm planning on going to the Cavs Nuggets game early December. 1, to see the best center in basketball, and 2, to crap on my cousin when his team loses to the best center in basketball. Okay. Well, enjoy that, Steve. Sneed says, nobody's talking about the Cavs exposes the media. Yeah, we all know meritocracy is a fantasy in that machine. Unfortunately, it's true, right? So they're one of the things, right? I know this was big in like TV news and maybe to some extent in the print, but in TV news, it was huge. There was a saying, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So basically saying like the big story that's going to really get people's attention, that's the one that kind of goes to the top, right? And so Cleveland, even though they're playing extremely well, they're not exciting. They're not sexy. It's not something to watch. So you just say, okay, they're playing well. We're going to see what happens. So they start out the year 14-0, and you run down their roster. This is a team that has 5 guys averaging double figures on this team, more than 12 points per game. You have LeVert averaging 12, Jared Allen averaging 14 and 11 rebounds, Evan Mobley averaging just a hair under 18 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, Darius Garland averaging 21 a game and 6.6 assists, and of course Donovan Mitchell averaging 24.6, roughly 25 points a game, and he scored 37 last night, right? So this is a good team with balanced scoring that can do a lot of things, right? I'm trying to remember the name of the coach. Sneed, throw that in the chat for me. Cannot remember. Kenny Atkinson, that's it. Kenny Atkinson is the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? And let me tell you why I think that's interesting. He's got these guys balling. This is a really good basketball coach. And what's funny about that, does anybody remember who he used to coach before? He used to coach the Brooklyn Nets. And why am I making that a point? Because when Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant got there, he was the coach, and they basically moved him out so they could bring in who they wanted, and that ended up being Steve Nash. Interesting how that works out, doesn't it? They always, did I say the Nets? I thought I said the Nets, but thank you for correcting me if I did not, Sneed. So it's interesting how, and I keep talking about it, stop giving players personnel power, cut it out. They got this guy fired. Why? Because most of these diva players, when they're really good, they don't want to get coached by coaches that demand that they play within some sort of system. They just want to do their thing. So Kenny Atkinson, he's doing his thing. He's got these guys at 14-0 playing really good basketball. Now, of course, very early, right? Very early in the season. So we got to take this with a grain of salt. But if it's always good to start out well, right? You got to start out, and that puts you in a position that as the season progresses, you can demonstrate that you're a team that has what it takes to move forward and have some success on the postseason level. Sneed says these Cavs love Atkinson. They will go through walls for him. Yeah, and it's awesome when you have that type of coach. And what does that mean too? Clearly, he holds his players accountable. Clearly, he's a guy who's great with the X's and O's. Clearly, he's a motivator. He's got all the things that a good player should want to have, right? But most of our superstar divas in the modern game, they don't have any interest in truly being coached. They want someone with the title of coach who will let them do what they want. I wonder who made that popular. Anyway, yes, Need, you're right. You can see that they trust their coach with the way they're playing for him. So that's awesome. Let's see. Your favorite hater said, let's not forget that the Cavs leading the East brings negative press to LaFraud, so the media will bury this at all costs. So your favorite hater, I think I know what you're saying, but why don't you expand on that and tell me why you think the Cavs leading the East brings negative press to LeBron? In the meantime, what I want to do is I want to play a couple of clips Stephen A. had in discussing the undefeated Cavs. First, Stephen A. and then Kendrick Perkins, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Let's start with Stephen A. Smith.
I have no questions about their talent, and I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. I wanted him in New York City. Ain't gonna never apologize for that. That brother's something special, and I love the Allen and Mobley combo and how formidable they are defensively. I get all of that. But this was the same team we saw get to the playoffs last year, ultimately losing to Boston. This is the same team that we're having questions about in terms of their sustained level of excellence. They ain't going undefeated. We all know that. But Kenny Atkinson being added to this team, he's a hell of a coach. A lot of people felt he should have never been let go by Brooklyn years ago, that maybe things would have been different with KD, Kyrie, and the rest of the crew had he stayed there instead of them getting Steve Nash in there, who had no head coaching experience whatsoever. Nevertheless, Kenny Atkinson is reminding us all what a quality coach he is and a kind of excellence he can infuse on that team. The question is, can they sustain what we're seeing from them? Can they be the collective bunch that they've been thus far, Shams? I'm wondering about that. I have no questions about Donovan Mitchell. I just don't question them. The rest of the crew, I'm questioning. I'm not saying they can't play. They can play. They can ball. I got mad respect for Cleveland. And right now, they look like the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics. But I got to see more. Come to me 60-plus games into the season, and I'll give you a better answer to that question.
That is a great point, but we are seeing some signs of why this season might be different than last season or the year before. When you think about Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, we know how good they are on the ball, pick and roll.
Yep.
But what they've done unlocking Evan Mobley, and that was the big thing around the league this past summer. I reported on it. Is the thought around the league, are they going to split up the backcourt? Are they going to split up the big men? And you have to give the Cavs front office, that organization, credit. They doubled down on that roster. They hired Kenny Atkinson. He felt like that roster was built for him.
Okay.
And he came in, and he's put the ball in Evan Mobley's hand. We're not seeing Evan Mobley staying in the corner anymore. Right. He's averaging 18, 10, and 2 blocks a game because he has the ball in his hands, 24% usage rating. That's by far the most he's had the ball in his hands over the course of his career. And so he's a big factor in this. To me, he is the X factor of this roster.
Here's the question I would ask for you, though. The ball in Evan Mobley's hands. Brother can play. I like him a lot. What I'm wondering about, if you're the opposition, as the season wanes and the playoffs approach, and you're the Cleveland Cavaliers and you come addicted to that. Remember, the more the ball is in his hands, the less it is in Donovan Mitchell's hands, the less it is in Darius Garland's hands, stuff like that. Is that playing into the hands of the competition? We got to ask ourselves that question, because you doing it early in the regular season is one thing. You're doing it come postseason time when they get an opportunity to game plan for you and you're in a best-of-7 series. Now, that's a different animal.
And that's why we're seeing right now in the regular season, everything I hear when I talk to people around the Cavaliers and that roster is Kenny Atkinson. He's bringing confidence. He's telling everyone exactly what to do, what he expects out of them. And he wants Donovan Mitchell, the way he's playing right now, he's enabling other people. And that's a sign of a leader. Now, that works in the regular season, like you said. You're going to win a lot of regular season games like that.
Right.
But come playoff time, to your point, you need Donovan Mitchell to take that game to the next level.
All right, so good commentary. That was Sham Charania, for those of you who may not know, that Stephen A. was discussing this topic with. I think that was on First Take. But anyway, so they both had some good stuff to say. Sneed actually makes a good point when he asks, is Stephen A. saying this about the Thunder or the Wolves or the Mavericks? So this is what I have to say about that. He wouldn't say that about the T-Wolves because they were in the conference finals last year. He wouldn't say that about the Mavs because they were in the NBA finals last year. The Thunder made it to the second round last year. Shai Gilgeous was all NBA. So, really good team. Now, I get what you're saying, Sneed, but you know how that goes, right? Those teams, they're sexier. Your favorite hater says the silence tells me they don't want anyone else to get any praise. LeBron never went 14-0 with the Cavs. That is true. That is the longest win streak in Cavs history, if I'm not mistaken. But what's going to be said. Your favorite hater is going to be said, well, LeBron never had that much. He didn't have a good enough team to do that because, as we know, no matter who's on his team, right, it could be Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Tim Duncan on the team with him. He'll never have enough help because that's just how it is, right? But anyway, no, I get that. Sneed, no, I don't think LeBron is even remotely connected to this, and no one's thinking that. Steve said, I'm convinced Stephen A. doesn't watch basketball. I think he does. I think he just doesn't have time to watch as much as he would need to really make effective commentary on this stuff. And honestly, it's hard to. It's hard to watch that much basketball. Sneed says none of them are champions. And when he says them, he means like the T-Wolves, the Mavs, or the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's true. None of them are champions, but they've all demonstrated that, at least to this point, that they could kind of make it further than Cleveland. Well, not the Thunder, but the Mavs and the T-Wolves. So I get it. Let's see. Steve says, I tried telling this very chat the New York, Minnesota trade was an L. We don't know yet, man. 15 games in, that's too soon to tell. That is too soon to tell. But anyway, so the Cleveland Cavaliers are absolutely doing their thing. This team is playing extremely well. They are rolling, and I think there's a lot of credit to be given all around, right? Donovan Mitchell, actually, if we look, he's kind of dropped his scoring average. He's down to, I think he averaged like 27 to 28 last year, right? So he's dropped his scoring average. Everything is kind of more even across the board. Clearly, he's the scoring leader of the team. When they need a big game, he can and generally will deliver that, but he is, they're working on spreading things around more. They're just playing better basketball. And of course, Kenny Atkinson, just an outstanding coach. So they're doing their thing, man. And it's good to see. I don't think anyone expected that. They are currently sitting at first in the East, and the Celtics, I think, are 10-3 at second in the East. So, that's something else we're going to see how that ends up going. Still a whole lot of time, right? Very, very early in the season. So we're going to see how that all ends up playing out, man. So, that's what we got. Yeah, I don't think I have too much to add. As I said, in honesty, Sneed, and to the rest of the chat, I have not watched a whole ton of NBA ball this year, especially not the Cavs. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you. When I was talking to the guys and we were working up topics for this very episode, Transformer was actually the one who said it's time the Cleveland Cavs get some love. And I was like, yo, you're right. You are right. Because it hadn't even occurred to me that we should do a segment and show these guys some love for what they're doing out there on the floor. So really, my main man, Transformer deserves a hand for that. So let's give it to him. Yeah, no doubt. So that's what we got. But what we can do right here, I'm actually going to leave it right here for this topic. So what I would love to do is open up the phone lines. I'm sure Sneed has a ton to say. Steve might have something to say. Whoever has something to say regarding Cleveland and the current state of the NBA in terms of what teams are doing well, and your thoughts on why certain teams, even when they're doing extremely well, don't get the requisite attention. And I'm guilty of it too, because like I said, Transformer had to let me know, hey, we got to give Cleveland some love. So yeah, let's do it. 904-219-8264. Let's get it. Sneed, what's going on, my brother? How are you?
Bruce, what's going on, man?
Maintaining, man.
Good topic. Good show so far.
I appreciate that.
So
Thank
salute
you.
on that. Absolutely. The Cavs, the thing about the Cavs has to be discussed. The question about, like, talk to me in 60 games, talk to me in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I have no problem with that. But what people are, that's lazy. I'm going to tell you why it's lazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's lazy because it takes responsibility away from the person who's evaluating them.
Okay.
They're basically saying, I haven't watched. Because the conversation should be, how are they playing the game, and is it sustainable for the next 60 games?
Right.
Can they keep playing this way? That's really what it is. It's not, can they keep playing this way, like winning? It's, can they continue to play the way that they are that leads to winning? So what I'm saying is they're like 7th ranked defensively, which puts them in the top quarter of the league, right?
Right.
They're first in offense in a lot of metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the way that they score, is through moving the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the last team that moved the ball like this was the Golden State Warriors, when they talked, oh, it's so majestic.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the ball move. They find the open guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's talking like that about the Cavs right now because they're not watching them.
Well, I would
They're
also
not watching the Cavs hold teams to one shot. You know what I'm saying? They're not watching it.
So real quick, I'll just interrupt you and say I would say that the Celtics over the last few years have been playing in a similar manner to that. Maybe not to the level that Golden State was, but in terms of moving the ball, getting the open shot, also really playing good defense. But I hear what you're saying. I get your point. What's up, Laker Nation?
Let me tell you what I see when I watch the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching a team throw up 58 shots a game from 3.
Oh, I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about like the last few years prior. But yeah, it's disgusting what I'm
saying.
Yeah.
But where's the scrutiny on how they're playing, right? So you got to give them the benefit of the doubt because they're the champs. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at a team every year that needs to continue to get to that championship level.
Yeah.
Because every team is trying to fine tune. Every team is adjusting lineups in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for rotations. They're trying to achieve something bigger, right? So it's going to take a full season in order to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at the Celtics right now, and I'm watching them shoot themselves out of games.
Listen, man,
I saw them lose to the Bulls because they shot 53 or 58 threes. And because they didn't get offensive rebounds, it was one shot and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
The possession was done. They lost that game to the Bulls because of that. And then I'm looking at the Cavs and I'm looking at the quality shots that they're getting. They're getting shots in and around the paint. It's rim runs, it's Mobley, it's Allen. They're getting contributions from guys, new guys every night. Merrill, Ty Jerome, Karis LeVert. We have the emergence of Evan Mobley as a defensive force and now a reliable offensive scorer.
Mm-hmm.
The question about see me in 60 games, what part of their game is going to fade if they can beat you in 20 ways?
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, and I'm not trying to make this like, not trying to overblow it, but when teams show you these things, it's easy to identify.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the coaching comes into play. See, everybody's acting surprised, but these talented players have been there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a young group that needed to emerge together.
Mm-hmm.
They got a guy named Georges Niang. Doesn't even look like an NBA player. He looks like he should be pushing carts at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But this guy's a difference maker for this team.
Mm-hmm.
They have chemistry. They have a rotation. They have role players stepping into their roles night in, night out consistently. Someone different and Donovan Mitchell continues to be overlooked for an MVP consideration. I'm not saying he's the MVP, but a consideration when the Cavs are 14-0, largely
I think
because of his ability to close out games and lead this team to victories.
I think that if he continues to play on this level, then it's going to happen, man. He will force the media's hand in terms of discussing him in the MVP race. It's going to take time. you know that first they're always looking towards what? They're looking to the champs. They're looking to the big media markets. They're looking to the major storylines. Donovan Mitchell doesn't fit any of those. But as he continues and the Cavs continue to play well and win these games and rack up these W's, then you force their hand to start looking at you. Is he going to win? Probably not, because the league wants certain guys to get it. I'm not saying that they deliberately jerk guys, but it's better for the league on multiple fronts if certain guys get it. If you get what I'm saying. Like imagine they've wanted Luka to be the MVP for a while. Imagine if he actually wins it. Why? Because it continues to open up the international market. It's more international jersey sales and more international NBA TV packages, etc. Like, it's all money. It's all part of the it's all part of the product, right? So I'm not saying that Donovan Mitchell can't get it. I'm saying that he's got a bit of a mountain to climb, but he can force their hand to get into that discussion as long as he continues to play on a high level, stay healthy, and help this team win the way he is.
Bruce, Donovan Mitchell has been a defensive force this year, and nobody knows it.
Right.
He's coming up with steals in these spots. He's playing passing lanes. He's shutting down his defensive assignment, and he's scoring buckets at the end of these games in almost impossible ways sometimes. I'm like, how did he even do that?
Right.
And it's not new. He's finding a way to get it within the flow of the game while Garland continues to slice and dice the defense, get guys on these rim runs, find guys in the corner. They're playing a brand of basketball that needs to be celebrated and acknowledged. The league has turned into a 3-point shootout. They're 25 feet away from the rim.
You've heard me say that many times, Sneed. I agree with you 1,000%.
It's 25 feet away from the rim, and they're chucking up these bad shots, and they're saying analytics says to take it. And it's not true. The Cavs are proving you should only take threes when you're open. Then the analytics work, right? And Kenny Atkinson is getting quality looks, play after play after play, and defensively they're getting stops and they're running the floor. Coaches need to be showing Cavs films to their young players and saying, this is what we need to be doing. Give me 100% of your effort. Play with this type of IQ, this intelligence, this decision-making. Bruce, this is sustainable. They're going nowhere. They're going to absolutely finish at the top of the East. They're going to be right there with Boston. And the only thing that separates them and why you would say you give Boston the edge is because they're the champs. They get the pedigree. So you have to put them up there, but that's it. If we're talking about the way they are playing basketball right now, this is a team that should be celebrated. They should be talking about the quality of how that team runs, but they're not because they don't watch. Stephen A. is a clown. All those people on those shows are clowns. They don't know what they're talking about because they don't watch and they don't want to analyze the game. Go ahead and talk about the way Donovan's playing. Talk about what Garland is doing to teams. Talk about his 90% free throw shooting. They don't want to talk about any of this because they don't watch and they're getting exposed. I appreciate you, Bruce. Thank you, man.
Hey, no doubt, Sneed. Thank you for the call, man. As always. All right, man. Good stuff from my man Sneed. Clearly, he is passionate about his Cavs, and you love to hear it, man, because in all fairness, man, the modern NBA is very difficult to get passionate about. Because like Sneed was just saying, most of these games simply are 3-point shootouts, and that's not basketball. That's not entertaining. That's not exciting. Matter of fact, Shaq actually said that the other day. Most of these games are just 3-point contests, and it's boring. And Adam Silver, he didn't like that too much. So, Steve, no, I think Stephen A. kind of will have the narrative, and he will use the stat sheet to back up said narrative. So this is what I got to say about that real quick, right? So, two things can be true, right? It's unfortunate a lot of times when we let narratives dictate our sports coverage. However, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, in fairness, a big part of why we love sports are the narratives, right? It's not just team A beat team B, team A scored 100 points, team B scored 90 points, and then we give the stats or whatever. Yes, explaining what happened is cool, but how we love sports is how we connect to our favorite athletes, right? And that's where the narratives and the stories come from, right? This is something I talk about all the time, and this is the easiest one that comes to the top of my mind as somebody who has been trained as a journalist and graduated from journalism school. We know that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA. We know that. But it's not just that they saved the NBA because they were such incredible players. It's the story behind it, right? What am I talking about? I'm talking about you got two guys, one white, one black. One goes to Hollywood and basically is the linchpin of Showtime, and the way he plays and his brilliant smile and how he kind of was doing such amazing things with the basketball and the fast break and passing and all that. That's Hollywood. That's flashy. That's Showtime. Then you got the other guy who's just quiet, the hardworking Midwestern farm boy kind of guy, doesn't say a whole lot, just goes blue collar, goes to work and gets busy, right? Where else does he goes to Boston? Both cities perfectly match the player. Both players played each other in the most watched college basketball game of all time, the national championship game in 1979, April 1979, right? Michigan State Spartans beat the Indiana State Sycamores, right? I think the Sycamores were 33-0 when they got beat by Michigan State. The point is, all those things come together, right? And then, of course, you have the added thing of the Lakers-Celtics quote-unquote rivalry, right? To that point, up until 1985, the Lakers had never beaten the Celtics in the NBA Finals, right? But they're still the two main franchises in the league. They've gone at it over and over again. I'm talking about all this stuff because all this stuff is part of what? The narrative, the story that makes us love those two players and love basketball even more because of what they did. But it wouldn't, without all of that kind of coming together so perfectly, the story of it all, it wouldn't be the same. Yeah, the basketball would be amazing. We would love to see those guys play, and it would still be awesome, but it wouldn't be the same without the story. So we got to be careful when we are ripping narratives and we're ripping journalists who tell us the story. Now, if the journalists are lying, being disingenuous or what have you, and using fake stories to kind of get something across that isn't the way it really is, then I get that. But we can't act like the story is not a huge part of, right, 79 MSU ISU, right? So the story is we can't act as if the story is not a major part, the narrative of why we love sports. Young Disciple, what's good, brother? What's good? Hey, good that you came in here tonight, man, because as you can see by the title of the third topic, and as you saw by my thumbnail, hey, I got some stuff to say, and I got to give old man his due. So yeah, got to. So the narrative and the story are important, but I guess that's about it. It doesn't look like I have any more calls on this topic, so we are flying right through this. It goes a lot faster when I don't have G and Transformer with me, but that's all right. So next up, I believe that's me. Get on the mic for the symphony, right? Let's see. What do we got here? Yes, so let's go. And again, thank you for the call, Sneed. Let's go and take it to the next topic. All right, 1 second here. All right, let's take it to the next topic. And this is, I don't know how long this is going to be, but we're gonna try to do it. All right, LeBron James is still at it, man. All right, anybody who watched this show knows I have a lot of issues with the way LeBron has done a lot of things in his career. When I have watched LeBron play throughout his career, I could never for the life of me figure out why people said the things that they said about him in terms of ranking him as highly as they did. I still don't believe he's the number 2 player of all time. I don't believe he's a top 5 player of all time, but today is not the day for me to say that. So LeBron James he's going to be 40 in a couple of weeks, right? He's 39 years old. He's in year 22. We know this. We hear it ad nauseum. And, LeBron James is he's doing work. He is doing work. He is playing, and I keep saying it. I've said this many times, but it's time to say it again. LeBron James is playing basketball at a level we have never seen for a guy his age. That's it, plain and simple, right? Normally, at this point, if someone is still playing, they are nowhere near putting up this type of numbers, right? This type of production. So, all right, LeBron he's averaging 23.5 points per game, which is well under his career average, 4 points under. But I mean, can we really expect again a guy, this long in the league with this many miles on his body, to be able to still put up his career averages? No, except for the guy is averaging 9.6 assists per game. I don't think it's a career high, but it's his second highest assist total, and it's well over. It's what two assists above his career average. He's also averaging 8.8 rebounds. So he's well over his career rebound average. He's doing that as well. And he is also shooting 52% from the field, that is awesome. He's getting a lot of dunks. So you're wondering how those old legs are still, able to jump and get to the rim that way. And this is where I got to give credit. He is shooting 44.5% from three. So, it took him a long time, but he has honed in on that three ball. And I think part of that is, even though he still can get to the rim at times with the best of them, he can't quite do it the same way he used to. So what? He understands that he's got to be able to hit from long range, especially the way the league has changed now, and you get a lot more open looks. So he's knocking those down at a really, really efficient clip. And on top of that, surprise, surprise, he's hitting 77% of his free throws. Now, if you are that great a player as they say, I do believe that you should be hitting more free throws, but that's just nitpicking. But again, when you're that level of player, nitpicking comes into effect, right? Because when you start getting compared with all type of all-time greats, well, you have to find a way to separate guys out, and that's splitting hairs. But even still, he's shooting 77% from the field, and shooting free throws, that's long been a bugaboo of his, and that's long been something he's been heavily criticized for. Let's see. Nino says that you're all talking about LeBron not playing D is definitely not watching. Now, hold on, Nino. Hold on. LeBron not playing D, man. Now, he may get some weak side, help side blocks, but we know LeBron is not strapping up. Come on, stop that. He's not doing that. Let's see. Your favorite hater, LeBron, is only playing offense, so all this praise is half earned. So yes and no, right? I just finished talking earlier about how there's two sides of every coin, your favorite hater. And so I totally get what you're saying when you say all the praise is half earned. However, I do understand that at that age, it's really tough to demand that somebody consistently sit in the chair, and it's not gonna happen like that in terms of playing defense. But the problem with LeBron, and this is where people crucify him for not playing D, he stopped playing D like long before his legs gave out and he really got old. So there's that. But even still, my main thing here is to really give credit for what he's doing, the numbers he's putting up, the efficiency he's demonstrating, and even in the games that AD doesn't play, how he's able to carry the team. So I got to give credit where that's due. And here's a big one. I'm not a guy who is blown away by the triple-double, especially once we found out like it's easy to manufacture triple-doubles in the modern NBA. We saw Russell Westbrook doing it for years. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still impressive to average a triple-double, no doubt. But when you have literally your own, former teammates saying, hey, we were boxing out so Russ could get the rebounds, right? We were basically, juicing it so Russ could get the rebounds. So we kind of know like it can be done in the modern NBA. But Laker Nation, I feel you, but I wanted to come on the show tonight, and I wanted to give LeBron I had to give him some credit because what he's doing is still crazy at this age. I totally get it. I think AD is averaging like 32 a game or 31-1, something like that. He's getting busy, but LeBron is getting busy too. He's not really he's not chucking, he's not taking like a whole bunch of egregious shots. He is rebounding the basketball, and his scoring has gone down. So like he still makes sure he's going to get his points, but at the same time, like he's letting AD do his thing, but he's still getting his. So I gotta give him his due for that. Let's see. Exactly. LA is winning because AD is playing that. Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it, Steve. I'm with you. I'm just saying that in the games AD hasn't been there, LeBron has really stepped up. And at this age, with the energy that it takes to do it, and that's the biggest thing, right? We know that you can manufacture triple doubles, but we also know that it does take a lot of energy, right? And at this age, with all that miles, LeBron is doing it, and he's got 4 of those in a row. Like that's kind of, I gotta give credit. Like that is impressive, right? I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but it is impressive, and I'm gonna give some grace for that. I have to. Let's see what else we got. Sneeze says, let's talk about the opponents. Bron is showing dominance. It's weak competition. Let's talk about the Cavs game with the Lakers. But hold on, Sneed. Here's the deal. I get you. But I've long been a proponent of two things, right? I keep saying it, two things can be true. Who you play matters, right? Because you have to take that into account. However, you can only play who's on your schedule when they're on the schedule. So yeah, there are levels to the wins, right? If you beat the defending champion Celtics, all right, that's a good win. If you beat the Washington Wizards, not so much. But if the Washington Wizards are on your schedule, they're professionals too. You go out there and you beat them, because if you're a good team, that's what you're supposed to do. So no, not all wins are created the same, but a win is a win on the professional level, right? So, I mean, I see what you're saying, Sneed. I do, but I wanted to make a point of coming out here and giving LeBron credit for what he's doing, especially those 9.5 assists per game are really standing out to me. Like that's big, you know, the fact that, yeah, he may not be strapping down or getting in the crouch, but he is expending a lot of energy that he doesn't have. Now, I'll say this. Here's the other thing. How long this can last, I don't know. It's only been, 15 games in, 14, 15 games. And again, he's about to be 40. So how long this can last, I don't know. But we'll find out. Here's another thing that was interesting, right? I know all y'all heard that he said that he plans on playing 82 games this year. Why is he so interested in playing 82 games this year? Anybody want to take a guess? Anybody want to take a guess why he wants to play 82 games this year? Oh, man, because Michael Jordan played 82 games at age 40? Wow. Mike played 82 games at age 40. Interesting. But hey, you know, why are we bringing up Mike? He never got his son into the league while he was still playing. But anyway, no, LeBron is he's doing what he does. Yes, Sneed, assists are a testament to teammate scoring, and I'll give you that, and I'm not necessarily comparing them, but like most people don't say that when it comes to Magic or Isaiah or Stockton or, you know, Mark Jackson or Jason Kidd, right? If you can get guys in a position to score, granted, when you play with LeBron, it is very specific how that works in most cases, right? In most cases, it's, you know, driving kick and, you know, you better knock down that shot. But still, if you can get guys the ball in position to score and then they score it, that's why it's an assist. That's why you get some credit for that. Now, as we know, what is it in hockey and soccer? You get points for assists, but in the NBA, you don't. So there's a difference there. But there is still some credit due for giving guys the basketball in position to score. My favorite hater. We can also talk about free throws in favor. Yeah, the Lakers do get a lot of calls. They have, I think, a pretty large free throw disparity. I didn't look it up on the season, but I know there was one game where I think they got like 40 more free throws or something crazy like that. So yeah, they do get a lot of calls, but I mean, it's tough, man. We know what it is. We know what it is, but this to me was not an opportunity. This topic wasn't an opportunity to come on here and talk about, you know, whether or not the fix was in. I'm looking at it and I'm saying from what we've seen from LeBron, he is playing well and he is playing at an extremely high level. And, you know, 4 triple doubles in a row, very unusual. Furthermore, very unusual at that age. And then, you know, just playing good basketball all around. But again, we'll see how it goes. And I don't expect this thing with JJ Redick to last very long before it blows up. You know, he's already acting like a petulant child when he doesn't get what he wants, you know, slamming his chair on the ground and all of that stuff. I'm like, come on, man. Are we serious here? And, you know, it's only going to take for LeBron to get pissed off with him and everything's going to change, right? Because we know how that works, right? LeBron wants somebody, and then when that somebody stops being useful to LeBron, he's very quick to pull the plug and get rid of them. So, I mean, that's that. Let's see. Yes, Need. No, you're right. They bring up Mike because he is the benchmark. I get it, but you know, the LeBron fans, they're never going to admit that. Sneedy definitely needs to clean up the foolish turnovers. Yeah, LeBron is averaging 3.5 turnovers per game so far this season, which really it's not any worse than his career. He averages 3.5 for his career. If I'm not mistaken, he has more turnovers than anybody in history. He also has more missed shots than anybody in history. But it's funny, those aren't landmark achievements that anyone brings up. Guess it doesn't push the narrative enough, right? 0.4 offensive rebounds per game. But Sneed, he's never been a great offensive rebounder. Why? Because that means he has to get in there and do dirty grunt work, right? That's why he loves his Tristan Thompsons. That's why he, you know, loves the K Loves and and the Chris, but those kind of guys, because he's not the guy to stick his nose in there and do that kind of dirty work. That's not him. Again, he doesn't have to though, right? And no one's going to bring that up because it doesn't fit the narrative. Steve says, if anyone watches LA, they're at their best when they let Reeves run the offense and feature AD. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? JJ Redick, for being such a brilliant basketball mind, he knows that too, but he can't buck the trend. He can't go against Master, who got him that job, and that's LeBron, right? He can't go against that. So he's kind of got to walk that tightrope, right? So, we get what it is. We know what it is. But like I said, my thing today was that I wanted to get on this show and I wanted to give LeBron credit for what he's doing. You see what I'm talking about? Man, you can't win with these people. Here's Bruce. How you praising Braun but crapping on him on the same topic? I'm not. But why is it that nothing is good enough for you LeBron people, right? Here we go. You're gonna piss me off, Bruce. Why does it have to be that I have to worship this guy? Why can't I just tell it how it is? I'm giving him his due for what he's doing, but I'm also telling the truth about what it always has been and what it still is. What's wrong with that? You hear me constantly say on this show, two things can be true. You hear me constantly say on this show, there are two sides to every coin. Why can't there be two sides to every coin? And why can't two things be true with LeBron? Why? Why do I have to worship him? Because you want me to? I'm not going to do it. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
Not going to be able to do it.
You know what I'm saying? We're not on that here. We are not on that here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, Bruce. Maybe if his name was
Hakeem your dreams.
No, but in all seriousness though, man, it can't be enough for you that I just give LeBron his credit. Yeah, I see he's your king. He should be worshipped. I see that, but ain't gonna happen, Captain. That ain't gonna make it. Let's see. Nino says they're losing because other teams got hot from three. That's been most games. But if you defend, right? So check this out. Other teams got hot from three. It's a lot easier to get hot from three when you got one guy that's not generally consistently in the defensive rotation, And who would that be? We know who that is. It's LeBron, right? All right. Next up, Steve Sneed, says they're giving him assist credits for the guys creating after he passes them the ball. They aren't actually assist watching. Yeah. No, there's some of that. What is it? Is it I don't know if they actually reference it in the rule book. I know when we were growing up, it was always like, if it's more than 3 dribbles, you don't get the assist anymore. So, and even in the old days, the assist only came if the player, I think, was moving towards the basket, because like the rule was like directly results in a scored basket. So the player had to be moving to the basket like a backdoor, or they catch it and immediately shoot. But if they dribble a lot or start making moves and then score, then you don't get the assist. I don't even know how they count it now. I'm really not sure. Braun is also officiated differently than the entire league. He is a hack, call the rule book, and he's fouled out in the third quarter. No doubt. But if we call the rule book, half these guys have 10 turnovers by the third quarter for all their walking and carrying, but that's a different story. Steve said, I just want to see a league where LeBron teams don't get the benefit of the full advantage by double digits. It is what it is. Let's see. Young Disciple says they don't like when you're objective, Brody. They hate it. Okay. Let's see. They beat Wolves, Kings, Suns, all playoff teams. That is true. They beat some bad teams. They beat some good teams. That's true, Young Disciple. I can't even argue that. No argument there. Yeah. But so obviously, you all know I'm a Celtics fan. So nothing makes me happier than to see the Lakers lose. But I want to see them lose on the bigger stage, right? I've also said, and y'all hear me say this with Transform all the time, the league is better when the Celtics are good, when the Knicks are good, when the Lakers are good, the Bulls are good, all at the same time. That's rare, but if we can get 3 out of 4, that's fine. And so I do want to see the Lakers do well, but I don't want to see them win championships or anything. But Wolves are a playoff team right now. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. But, I mean, we know they were in the conference finals last year, although it's not the same team. Totally get it, but I get the point you're trying to make. What do we got? Let's see. Young Disciple says, difference in Kobe having record and LeBron having most missed shots. LeBron scored over 7,000 more points. No. Young disciple, we don't get to move the goalpost now. We don't get to do that. Nope. If you have missed the most shots, you have missed the most shots. That's all there is to it. I mean, that is what it is. Let's see. AD goes down. Lakers are out of the playoffs. Bron will take 30 games off. No, he's not going to take 30 games off because he's still going to want to get his points and rack his stats up because that's how he is. But anyway, this is not an opportunity that I'm going to take shots at LeBron. I just, I did this topic so I could give him respect where I think it's due for the way he's playing in year 22. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about LeBron. We've been through that. Y'all know what that is. But today, this segment is not the segment for it. So what I'm going to do, which Transformer was here, I'm sure you'd have a lot more to say about this topic. Laker guy, LeBron guy, all that. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 904-219-8264. We'll take a couple of quick calls about this. Then I'll get to the best of the NFC topic. And we'll get out of here on a quick one tonight. And we can all go watch football the rest of the way. So, if anybody has any comments on this, what LeBron is doing here in year 22, I'm here to listen to you. I'm not going to argue or debate this LeBron thing tonight because I don't think this is the night or the topic for that. But I will, give anybody an opportunity to say what they need to say. 904-219-8264. Let's get it. For my college football fans, Tennessee is currently leading Georgia 10-0, and that would be a good thing, except we saw that Georgia is a team that definitely can come back. We saw that earlier in the year against Alabama, and then, if they get going, they can put the beats on you. So, long way to go in this game, but it is good to see Tennessee up early. Bron plays bully ball, which explains the finals record and being swept in the finals the most in NBA history. Yeah, no, absolutely, the bully ball thing. So I'll tell you what's funny. Even though he plays bully ball, it's really interesting because the league is so much less physical on the whole. I think that plays a huge role in allowing him to be. Yeah, I'm watching it, Steve. I think it plays a huge role in allowing him to be able to play at the level he has for as long as he has, because his body has not taken the same level of punishment that a lot of the other all-time greats have had in the past. Tony Tone, what's good, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. When you talk about my Lakers, I got a call, man.
Hey, man, that's what's up. Let's get it.
You know how it be.
I know how it is, man. I know how it is. What you got?
All I want to say is man, I'm going to piggyback on a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Starting off, what he's doing is phenomenal. I got to give him his credit too.
Yeah.
He's putting up some. He's helping the Lakers win games. He's being unselfish for a change.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I'll tell you real quick before you get to your second point. I am impressed. I can honestly say and again, it took him a long time to get here, but shooting 44.5% from three, and I'm sure that'll drop down below 40 by the time the year ends. But still, that's impressive for a guy who is not particularly a good shooter throughout the bulk of his career. And he's knocking down free throws at 77%. Go ahead.
No, but he's doing it in the floor of the offense. He's not trying to force it like he was doing the last 3 years.
Right.
So that's why I can accept it. I can accept the triple doubles and all that, and it's leading to win. So that's the most important thing. So the only thing I got to say is that you got to be careful when you give LeBron praise because his fans are crazy. Nothing's never good enough for them.
Yes.
But what I kind of find it ironic is that when he went on this triple doubles spree, so what was the main topic of the league regarding the Lakers?
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
I said before he went on this triple double spree, what was the main topic of the Lakers?
I believe they were struggling, right?
No, the main topic
was AD going off. Yeah.
And AD playing like an MVP.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's getting 31 a game, 31 and 12, something like that.
And the man got one eye and dropped 40 last night. Refused to wear a mask. So can't call that man Mr. Glass anymore. He's playing tough. I mean, no, the old AD would have sat out until his eye healed. He would have sat out about 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
He sat out maybe one or two games, and then came right back.
Right.
And he still got his foot issues going on right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how long this high-level play, you know, the other guys got to step up.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dalton Connect needs to get more minutes. He
Mm-hmm.
proved it the other night when the Lakers came back, and he spearheaded, you know, in that second half, mainly in the fourth quarter. He hit those key shots. Even LeBron said so.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves to get more minutes. I think they need to bring Quincy up from the G League and give Gabe Benson's minutes to him. That will boost the bench. And I think the Lakers will be fine. I don't think they really need to get I don't think they really need a major trade unless they get another big.
Right.
But I don't like that they was talking about putting Austin Reeves in that. They should never trade him.
So wait. Let me ask you this, Mr. Laker. Right. What about Bronny? I haven't heard you.
I got nothing to say about Bronny.
I couldn't even get through that with a straight face.
I ain't got nothing to say about Bronny. I'm leaving that alone, man. I'm leaving that alone.
No.
In
all seriousness,
I was watching.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I was watching. I think it was Dreamers Pro the other day, and he made a valid point that I never thought of.
Okay.
It's like we're blaming LeBron, we're blaming Clutch Sports for this, for what's going on with Bronny, but no one's ever stated that Bronny accepted this role. Like he's okay with what's going on. He's okay with not playing away games with the G League.
Do you
He's
want me?
Okay with sitting on the bench.
Do you want me to give you my thoughts on that? I
never thought about that.
Right.
He just made that point, and I'm just like, that kind of makes sense, but we don't know unless we hear it from Bronny's mouth.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. So my thought on that real quick, and this obviously is not a Bronny topic, but my thought on it real quick, I'm sure I mentioned it on the show. I think Bronny has just been under too much pressure subliminally and directly since he was in like 8th grade when LeBron first came out and said, "It's my dream to play with my son." I don't think he felt that he could say no. And I think he's got to do pretty much whatever they tell him. I truly believe that.
But see, that's nobody's going to like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. That's a form of emotional abuse. If you're not letting a child have his own opinion and his own direction with his life. Like, it's going to, if that's the case, it's going to blow up. I mean, he's only going to be quiet and take it for so long. I mean, he's an adult now. So I don't want to hear like he needed the $7 million. His dad's a billionaire.
Right.
You know, Bronny was going to be taken care of. LeBron is a very good father. He's not going to let his kids be without.
And he made plenty of money in NIL when he was in college last year. He also makes money as a popular influencer, and he does the online game. Like, money is not a problem for that dude, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like everybody's saying, "Oh, he should do." Like, man, you can't tell nobody what to do with their kids. They can do whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
If he wants to buy his ass a helicopter, that's his business. But I really didn't want to talk about Bronny.
No. Really, I was just messing with you about it. So, yeah.
But like I said, he's a grown man. He's gonna find his path one of these days. He just got to lace up his Timberlands and stand up and drop his nutsack and be a man about it. That's what he wants.
I think that's easier said than done.
But the last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna let somebody else voice call in and give their point.
Okay.
Is he's like when I said in the comment section that he's being unselfish to an extent. It still upsets my stomach that everything still has to be him. Like he has to be the topic. When all the greats are not at a high level, they back up and let the future star of the team be the center point.
Right.
So he's letting AD be the center point to an extent, as long as they're talking about him. Yeah,
I've always felt that way. I've also said he's the greatest, most selfish superstar ever. He's the greatest, narcissist. Like, that's just what it is. And it's not all his fault. They kind of made him that. the media,
No,
and I'm part of that.
Ain't nobody make him that. He came in with a chosen one, put a tattoo on his chest. Ain't nobody make him do that.
True indeed, but he was the chosen one. Like, think about it. Sports Illustrated put this guy on the cover at 16, and Nike gave him this and gave him that.
Bruce.
Like, everybody gave him everything.
Come on, Bruce. Call a spade a spade.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that tells about his character. It's got to be all about them.
Mm-hmm.
And before they come in here and flood the comment section talking about all the to be a great player, you gotta have an ego. You gotta feel like you're that dude. You gotta be it to an extent. You ain't gotta tell the world about it. So
no, I agree.
People tell you that you that dude.
Right.
And you just go out there and show it.
Yeah.
This dude got to say, "Oh, I'm the greatest ever."
Yeah.
I almost said a cuss word, but every interview.
Right. No, I'm with you.
It's ridiculous.
And he tries to make it look like he kind of slipped it in. Like, nah, man, you're calculated. You know what you're doing. But yeah, go ahead.
But last thing, no matter what,
mm-hmm.
he's not gonna. He can win, even if he wins a championship this year, which I highly doubt.
Okay. I hope not.
He will never eclipse the greats ahead of him. He will never be considered the greatest basketball player ever. No matter what he do, he's never going to catch the greatest ever to do it, Jordan. Because going back to what you said earlier, his story. We witnessed him coming in the league, dominating.
Mm-hmm.
We witnessed his struggles, getting beat up by the Pistons.
That's right.
Getting beat up by the Celtics. Not getting over the hump. Watching him build a team around him. Watching him build Scottie Pippen up. Got an unproven coach in Phil Jackson. Made him a household name. I don't give a damn what nobody say. He made Phil Jackson a household name.
That's right. That's right.
And when he finally won and beat the NBA's Golden Boy, the torch was passed from Magic to him.
Right, right.
And that's what made his story great. LeBron's story has always been manufactured.
I agree.
He made his name by the decision.
I agree.
Which caused a whole lot of backlash.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's forcing his own narrative. That's his story, and that's what his story is going to be. When he retires, all of it's going to come out in the light. The media is slowly turning on him right now.
I was just about to say that. Isn't that interesting how more and more you're seeing that? The media, because of his nonsense, they're being forced to call him out, and most of the mainstream media hates it. They're being forced to call him out. His former teammates are calling him out. Like, this stuff is out there, and I really find it so interesting because you can see that like Brian Windhorst was forced to call him out the other day when it was put out there that Bronny won't be flying United Airlines with his G League teammates for road trips. And you could see it almost hurt him to have to actually critique LeBron and Bronny. He couldn't stand it, but he had to do it. And I'm enjoying seeing that. They are really like bothered by it.
I'm going to give a shout out to Nino. He's absolutely right, Vincent. It is out there BS. But yeah, he's the one doing that crown gyrating. Yeah, he's the one doing all that. Nobody's forcing him to do all that.
That's
I
right.
mean, he's a narcissistic weirdo.
Well, I think we can also agree that. Yeah, we can also agree that though he has mastered, him and Clutch have mastered the media. They know that whether it's positive or negative, no matter how they feel about it, once you are, people are talking about you, is a good thing. You can tell they clearly subscribe to there's no such thing as bad publicity mentality. You know what I mean? So,
and I give them that though. They made it all about him and made them one of the most powerful agencies in the NBA. I give it to that. And it's a black owned business.
That's right.
But Bruce, it's always a pleasure. I can talk basketball all day.
I see, man. I love it.
I don't want to hold up your show.
Right.
Wish my eighth graders good luck tomorrow. They just made it to the championship in their league today.
Okay. What's the name of the team?
It's my academy, Hurricane Academy. We're in a fall league right now.
All right. Well, good luck to you tomorrow, Hurricane Academy. Shout out to y'all, and I hope you win it and take it all.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. You have a good night. Thanks for calling.
All right. You too.
All right. Good call as always from Laker Nation. Appreciate that. Anybody else want to call in and give some commentary about LeBron and what he's doing and what the Lakers are doing, etc.? I'd love to hear it. I'll hang on for about another minute or two, see if anybody's got any more commentary on that. And then we will go ahead and get to the final topic, talk a little NFL, and then we'll take it from there. And then, once we're done, everybody can enjoy the rest of their evening with some college football, if that's what you do. Yeah. No, Bruce.
Hakeem, your dream.
That's where we go. All right. I'm going to go ahead now. And all right, did what I had to do. That wasn't too painful. But let's go ahead and get to the final topic here. And we will talk some NFC, NFL football. So we know in the NFL, we have two conferences. We got the AFC and the NFC. The AFC, man, is brutally tough, has the majority of the best quarterbacks, and has really good teams. Obviously, you have the Ravens, who are a fantastic team, but you have an odd dichotomy with them because that's a team that's historically known for just lockdown, nightmare, physical, brutal defense. This year, they're not that, but I guess the lever has kind of been flipped because they have one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in football. Obviously, with the guy who has a chance to win back-to-back MVPs in his third out of 5 years, and that would be Lamar Jackson, who is playing absolutely out of his mind at the quarterback position. You've got Derrick Henry, arguably the best running back in football. And then, you have the defending champions in the AFC who are – okay, let's go ahead and let's take this call. We'll go back one topic, and let's take this call from my main man, Bruce. Bruce, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Hey, what's up with you? Man, bro, talk about my man Braun, man.
Say again? What'd you say?
What's up with y'all talk about my man Braun because he has privilege in the league?
I don't know, man. I had my topic, and I gave him his flowers for what he's doing right now and what he's doing this season, and that's
absolutely. But y'all talk about at the last couple minutes, y'all been talking about how he's being a narcissist.
Oh, he is that.
All this.
There's no question.
He's the king, man. No, it is what it is.
He's the definition of a narcissist in all serious.
Mm-hmm. He ain't letting me know what it is. I think he ain't letting these white boys running. He abusing his power. He ain't letting the white boys run over top of him in the league.
Oh, he definitely abusing his power. But when is that a good thing, though?
It's a good thing. Hey, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm the king. Yeah. Understand what I'm saying? No. Even though it's fucked up. It's fucked up, though, Bruce. I understand. This shit is fucked up. I kind of don't like it. At the same time, I respect it. Hey.
I don't.
Shit, the motherfucker. It's like, come on, man, them owners, man. Come on, it's like you on a slave plantation, bro. I'm like, fuck that. I'm Big Doug. I'm Big Doug out here. I'm the puppet master. I'm gonna use every privilege I got.
No.
I'm gonna abuse all the power I got. You
no.
understand what I'm saying?
No.
Go ahead, brother.
Absolutely not. I don't understand what you're saying because I'll say this quickly. I'm not gonna let this devolve into a LeBron thing, but I'll say simply my personal values don't allow me to believe that something is not right for one person or one demographic and is right for another. And I think it's absolutely horrible. I'm very big on consistency. You listen to the show regularly, so you know that. So I'm not going to be the guy that says, no, that's wrong over here to abuse power. But over here, since I'm normally the abused, now I got some power. I can do it. It's okay. I don't believe in that. That's substandard. I don't rock that way. So I definitely disagree. And that's what that is. I don't agree.
I know you disagree, but him abusing his power, he wrong for it though. It's weird, and it's weird. It got to be awkward for Bronny's G League teammates like that when he come around. Like it's just fake.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
No, I think it's terrible for him.
Yes, I know it. I know you don't like it. You can see it on Bronny's face. It's like he gives up the demeanor like he don't like what's going on. For me looking at his body language, how he look.
I don't think
he's being forced.
I've been saying that, and remember, I've been saying that because when LeBron first started talking about this, Bronny was only in like 8th grade. So remember, I said that since then, there has been pressure, internal and external, on him to kind of help to make this happen. So he's got to play good soldier. And obviously that's his dad too, right? He loves his father. His father loves him. So there's no question about that. So that's his dad. Yeah. That relationship is there, you know? So I get that part too, but there's a lot of pressure on him to go along with this, even if it's not necessarily something he wanted. Because you heard him say, this was my dad's dream to play together, not mine. And I'm sure that maybe he wanted to eventually get to the league, but not like this. Do you think about this? You know that they got to be crapping on Bronny in the G League locker room. You know, in practice, they got to be going at that dude hard. Think about what Quincy probably cooking that dude in practice. You know what I mean? So, so like, I don't think this is a good situation for him. This is not helping him, but this is why we say LeBron is a narcissist, because what? This is all about him. This is his own son, but he doesn't care about the situation that he put his son in. He doesn't care about the bullseye that he put on his son's back. You know what I'm saying? That's why we say he's a narcissist.
Well, yeah, in that sense, but I want to say that he's a selfish man because he made all his friends millionaires. So, on the other side of it, you know. But I get what you're saying. For NBA terms, he most definitely all that. Bronny don't want to ride with his teammates because they fly. Oh man, that's bad, man.
Yeah, I think that's terrible. Yeah, I think it's bad. And I mean, think about this. Even before the season started, they had like a preseason game in Milwaukee, right? Tell me this doesn't reek of privilege. LeBron literally out here tweeting like, why do we have to go on these preseason road trips? Bro, you not flying commercial like the dudes before you did. You on this, you know what I'm saying? You pampered on this beautiful private jet. You know, you get to eat what you want. I'm sure you take your physiologist and all that with you. Like, are you serious? Are you like, how out of touch are you for somebody who grew up poor to make a statement like that? This is why, like, a lot of people don't like that dude, right? And this is why a lot of people don't like him, because of stuff like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, and again, this segment wasn't for any of that. I legitimately wanted to just give this dude his flowers for what he's doing this year. But that's the problem. When you're dealing with LeBron, it always ends up going that way, because not necessarily you, but because it's never good enough for people. And then it's like, okay, hold on. And then, you know, we got to go down that other road, which I was trying to avoid.
Far as LeBron, the way he's playing well, but you could tell he's tiring though. It's not the same effort on the defensive end. You could tell. He even said it the other day that he's only going to play one or two more years.
Yeah, I heard him say that.
He made that very clear the other day. So
yeah,
he's playing well, but you could tell that he's tiring.
Yeah. Well, I think he's been tiring for the last few years because he hasn't played real defense in a long time. But you know, he makes sure he gets his on offense though. He got to make sure the numbers are always up. You know.
Yeah, he locks in on the defense like when it's real, like big games, he'll play a little bit harder, but he never gets back. That's one thing I hate about LeBron.
So my bad. Go ahead.
He don't get back on defense much.
So I wouldn't have a problem with that if he wasn't the same guy that's barking on his teammates for not doing what they're supposed to do on D, right? He won't get back, but then he pointing the finger and barking at other people. And again, that's another reason people don't like this dude, because he's always passing the buck, pointing the finger, blaming somebody else, scapegoating people. Nobody respects that.
True, man. Like I've been saying, Kendrick Perkins been getting out on him. J.R. Smith been getting out on him. A couple players been getting out on him.
Bro, I don't know if you saw it. I'm gonna send, when we get off, I'm gonna send you the link to the show that I did talking about how what is it? I think I called it like, he always ends up proving me right. And man, listen, broke it all down. But yeah, you'll see.
All right, man. Thanks for talking to you, Bruce. I'm still tuned in, bro.
No doubt, Bruce. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you for the support.
All right, bro.
All right, fam. Another call from my man Bruce from B-More, man. That always with the support. I appreciate that. All right, let's go back to best of the NFC. So we were talking about it. We know what an amazing and difficult conference the AFC is. Now we'll go over to the NFC, right? Because the NFC obviously has they obviously have half of the Super Bowl, right? They have to have their representative. and they have what I believe to be two outstanding teams that, should they make it that far, it could be very interesting. But the question is, for me, I mean, and we still have a few games left, who's the best of the NFC? And I think if you can look on the thumbnail, you can see we got the Philadelphia Eagles and we have the Detroit Lions. To me, those two teams, are far and away the best that the NFC has to offer, both in terms of health and the way they're playing this year. I think that if the Bucs were healthy, that would be a dangerous squad as well. If I'm not mistaken, the only loss the Lions have this year is to the Bucs earlier in the season, right around the beginning of the season when the Bucs were all healthy. Like, they can do it, man. Baker and Jared Goff, that's pretty much a wash. And then, you have Chris Godwin. When everyone's healthy, you have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, two elite receivers. And of course, you got Bucky Irvin in the backfield, so on and so forth. The Bucs are a really good team when everybody's healthy. I think that's dangerous. Sneed says it comes down to Hurts versus Goff. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And that could be interesting. And I'm sure, provided, obviously we got to take health with a grain of salt in the NFL, but Hurts versus Goff, if everyone is healthy, that's the NFC title game right there. So we'll see, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But yeah, these are two outstanding teams. I like them both a lot in terms of being the NFC representative, and I think either one would give a hell of a battle to whoever comes out of the AFC. And if I'm not, to me personally, and I'm trying to be objective here, I think the AFC easily comes down to Kansas City and Baltimore. So we'll see how that goes. Who knows how long Kansas City can remain undefeated. Man, the way they're playing football on both sides of the ball is crazy. And now you're adding special teams. These dudes are winning games with a field goal block. Absolutely out of this world. But back to the NFC. So let's hear our guy, Stephen A., kind of talk about the Eagles and the Lions and what he thinks about them. So let's check that out. He was discussing this on First Take, I think, yesterday.
Talking about the Eagles and Saquon Barkley for a while, and obviously I think the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC. When I think about the San Francisco 49ers, the absence of Brandon Ayuk is something that I think potentially will come back to haunt them, and I just feel that way about it. I ain't really worried about anybody else in the NFC West. I know we see Arizona doing some things, Kyler Murray doing his thing. Congratulations. I'm very, very touched by that. But Seattle came crashing down to earth after its fast start in the NFC North. We see Green Bay and Jordan Love. We know Dallas is going to be a non-fact. They ain't going to even make the playoffs. And the Commanders obviously went up against the Philadelphia Eagles and were humbled a bit, dare I say, in the second half. We saw what transpired. It's not that there aren't good teams in the NFC. It's that I think that Detroit and Philadelphia has shown, particularly over the last 6 to 7 weeks, that they are above the crowd in the NFC. So I think it's about them. I think it comes down to them. And that's where I'm at with it. Everybody talking about San Francisco. What I'm trying to say is very, very simple, y'all. You ain't going to pick anybody against Philadelphia or Detroit at this particular moment in time. Certainly this competition. Certainly anybody can lose on any given Sunday. I get all of that. But if you had to pick the two best teams in the NFC right now, it would be Detroit and Philadelphia.
Okay, so I definitely agree with what Stephen A. had to say there. Clearly, Detroit and Philadelphia, two best teams in the NFC. So you're looking at this thing, obviously Philadelphia 8-2, and they had a little bit of a rough patch earlier in the season. And at one point, you had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both injured, and you could tell that that really hurt Jalen Hurts and what he was able to do. But Saquon Barkley has kind of been the constant for that team. That was probably one of the, if not the best, but the second best pickup in the offseason. Saquon to the Eagles, and of course Derrick Henry to the Ravens. Both of those guys have been so key in making the offenses on their respective teams go, and just watching what they're able to do, man, has been absolutely incredible. I think Saquon is second in the league in rushing, and he's closing in because the last couple of games, Derrick Henry hasn't really gone off. We'll see if he's able to do that on Sunday against the Steelers, one of the best defenses in the league. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, Saquon is really doing his thing. He's managed to stay healthy. He's averaging almost 6 yards a carry, 5.8 yards a carry. He's got 8 touchdowns and 1,137 rushing yards, and he's doing his thing. He's literally doing things that we've never seen before in the NFL. He's literally jumping over people backwards. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, he's doing a tremendous job. He also has more than 200 yards receiving, so averaging 9.1 yards per catch. Got a couple of receiving touchdowns. So he is just an incredible and versatile weapon on that roster. And then, of course, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith doing their thing as well. So really good. And, I mean, really, if you look at the rosters, probably there's Georgia. They just took the lead on Tennessee. Another touchdown. Got to be careful with those guys. But anyway, if you look at the rosters line for line, especially with Aiden Hutchinson out, I think that's really going to show itself when Detroit has to play against the better teams, because that guy was a game wrecker whose motor never stopped. But I think Philadelphia is just as talented, if not more talented, than Detroit is. But Detroit is just they almost seem to be playing on another level right now. The fact that, and don't get me wrong, Philadelphia is definitely better than Houston, but the fact that last game out, you saw Detroit, Jared Goff throw 5 interceptions and they still won that game, managed to completely shut down the Detroit offense in the second half, like no points. That says a lot, man. Detroit is an extremely good football team. You can see they're extremely hungry from getting to the NFC Championship game last year and then not being able to get the job done and get to the Super Bowl and have an opportunity to win the thing. So I think that's just, man, that's an outstanding team. I have a hard time myself picking who I think is the best team out of those two. It's really tough. It's almost one of those where I want to take the lazy way out and say, I got to see it on the field. Snead says Barkley brings incredible dynamics to that offense. He is bonkers. Absolutely. You know what he kind of reminds me of, Snead? I don't know if it's quite the same thing. He's like the Marshall Faulk in The Greatest Show on Turf, what Marshall Faulk was doing for the Rams. I see Saquon kind of in that mold doing a similar thing for the Eagles. I'm not saying he is Marshall Faulk or he's as good, but he plays that similar role, and his ability to, Shady McCoy, that's another. Yeah, absolutely. We know he can catch it out of the backfield. He can even line up as a receiver. Obviously, he can run it tough between the tackles. Like, Saquon really doesn't have a weakness, and he's such a spark plug for that offense, man. It's really, really good. Breakout play in an instant. Yep. Shady McCoy, that's a good analogy. That shows, man. I guess I'm just an old school guy. I immediately went to a Marshall Faulk or maybe a Thurman Thomas type. Like, that's what I see with the Saquon and what he brings to this offense. Yeah, man, they are tough. They are tough. But then you look at the Lions, and I think maybe it might even come down to coaching. I think the Lions have better coaching, but Sirianni also coached those guys being the Eagles, to a Super Bowl, and literally within just a couple of minutes from winning the thing. So it is tough, man. I really don't know, where I go with this, but like recently, so the first 3 weeks, check out the Lions scores, right? They beat the Rams 26-20. They lose to Tampa Bay 20-16. They beat Arizona 20-13. Then they start putting up numbers, right? They beat Seattle 42-29. They beat Dallas 47-9. They beat Minnesota 31-29. They beat Tennessee 52-14. Beat Green Bay 24-14. Houston 26-23. Like, they can score. They can score with the best of them. That team, they got a lot. They can score. And so you say, man, like, obviously they have a defense good enough to stop you. They can score. Jared Goff doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. We know he played poorly that last game, but he generally doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, so he's dangerous. I really don't know who's the better team here, and I hate to be lazy and say I got to see it play out, but I really don't know, man. The Lions are very creative on offense. Absolutely, Snead. The way the way Ben Johnson draws up on offense is very good. Now, don't get me wrong, having having that elite offensive line allows you to do a lot more things. You can be almost disrespectful with all the trick plays and all that. You have more time to let things develop. Why? Because Jared Goff everybody who's back there is protected. And, so you have arguably the best offensive line in the game. You can do those things. But, yeah, man, this is tough. Let's see. Don't forget Detroit acquired Zadarius Smith. That is true. He's not quite what's my man's name? Aiden Hutchinson, but he's still a legitimate threat that can get to the quarterback, and also demands that you pay him some attention in terms of pass blocking and run blocking schemes. Right, he can do it, man. He can do it. Yeah, thanks, Need Hutch. Right. So, yeah, Zadarius Smith, definitely a good pickup. Laker Nation says Saquon was a great pickup for the Eagles. Absolutely, absolutely. He's one of those guys, man. 3 down back, he can do it all. Run between the tackles, catch it, flex out into the wide out position. So, very good. So, I guess the whole point of it was who's the best of the NFC. That was the whole point of this topic. And so, I am gonna say, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. I think they're playing the best in the NFC right now. However, if it came down to it, and I know sounds crazy, if it came down to it, I trust the Eagles more. Jalen Hurts has been there and done that. Sirianni has been there and done that. So they know what it takes to get to a Super Bowl and to be, that close to winning. Obviously, they didn't win. I think I trust them just a little bit more. And then there's the issue of not Ben Johnson. I cannot remember the knee biter. Dan Campbell. There's the issue of him and the concern about him making a possibly a call that could be detrimental to his team in the clutch, because we've seen that before. So do we know that we can trust him when it comes down to making the right decision? I do not know. So, yeah, I think Detroit is the better team. I think I trust Philly more, if that says anything. So I guess if it were to come down to it, Philly plays Detroit. I guess they would have to go to Detroit if kind of things stay chalk as they are. I would say I'm going to go with Philly. It's just something about them. And I think Saquon is that X factor. So I'm going to go Philly here. And I think Philly has a slightly better defense too. So, yep, I'm going to go Philly, saying they're the best of the NFC. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to put the number in the chat, 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. If you have anything you want to add regarding that, or any pushback you have, or any disagreement, if you think maybe it's another team in the NFC, I'd love to hear that as well. So, yeah, give us a call. Tell me what you think. Yeah. Yep. Let's get it. These playoffs are going to be super exciting. I can't wait. Quick side note, the playoffs are going to be super exciting in college and the pros. So if you love football, man, this is a fantastic time of year, and we've got some really great stuff going on. So I can't wait. All right, I'm going to give about another minute here. It doesn't look like I'm going to get another call on this. So I'm going to give another minute here. But while I'm waiting, if you haven't already, I'd appreciate if you make sure you go and click like and subscribe on the channel. Appreciate that. It helps us out. And make sure you're sharing the channel. Like I always say, the share button is powerful. And yes, it is a great year for Football Laker Nation. Absolutely. And we will be back with you, providing something else big doesn't happen in the world of sports. Be back with you Wednesday night, and we'll talk. Okay, here we go. Main man, Bruce. Bruce, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Hey.
Yes, sir.
As far as the NFC, it's Detroit. Detroit is the new power of the NFC.
Okay.
San Francisco time has passed them. They had their shot. They've been in the AFC Championship. How many times they've been to the Super Bowl in the past 6 years?
Twice.
They always in it. Right. Yeah, this is Detroit. The NFCs will be ran by Detroit for the next 4 or 5 years, I believe.
Okay. So
they proved it last year with it. They proved it last year with Dan Campbell. You want to go for every goddamn down in the
yeah.
game. Like, what the hell? You had him. You had your throat. There was some bone. I understand his aggression. I love Dan Campbell.
You breaking up, Bruce?
Hear me now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, go ahead.
You hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Detroit is the power in NFC right now. They will run the NFC for the next 4 or 5 years. San Francisco time. Maybe behind.
Damn, you going in and out, Bruce.
Hold on. You hear me now?
Yeah,
sorry, bro. You hear me?
No, you good. I can hear you.
Yeah, so the NFC right now is Detroit domain. They will run the NFC right now. Detroit is the power of the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
San Francisco time has passed them. They had their chances. It's over for them. It's Detroit. You know, they running hard. They got they call them Sonic and Hedgehog, Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah,
Detroit.
yeah.
Detroit got everything you need to. Detroit is basically, well, I think that Detroit is basically the Ravens of the NFC East. I mean, NFC basically. If you wanna,
so can I ask you something about Detroit?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
Do me a favor, mute YouTube in the background. I can hear the echo.
I don't have you this thing. I ain't got YouTube. You hear me now? I don't have it on in the background.
Oh, that's weird. Okay. But anyway, let's so here's the deal, right? I'm gonna ask you, I should say, what makes you so sure that Detroit is ahead of Philly in the NFC? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking you like how you came to that decision.
Continuity, consistency, togetherness. There's a brotherhood. They respect their coach. Philadelphia don't respect Sirianni right now. Every week they talk about he on the hot seat. So that's why I said Detroit got everything clicking for him right now.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, I think Philly is playing very well right now as well, but I'm not mad at you saying Detroit. I'm not. I just wanted to kind of know what your thought was. And it's funny. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sirianni he's shaky.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even like him on that team.
Right.
They don't most definitely don't got the utmost respect for him like Detroit players got the utmost respect for Dan Campbell. They will run through the wall for Dan Campbell, man.
I can agree with that.
Detroit they put him in the Super Bowl last year. What up? Dan Campbell trying to be he's being too aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they say, take the risk or lose the chance, right?
That's right. That's right.
They had too much fear. They had too much fear in San Francisco when they was rolling on them in the NFC Championship. Why are you doing it? Get the point.
Yeah.
You already had them by like 3 touchdowns. What's going on, man?
Mm-hmm.
I let them in the game. I guess they feared their defense wasn't going to be able to hold up against Purdy and them in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, no, I'm not mad at that.
That's why I got.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. That's why I got Philly. That's why I got Detroit better than Philly. The continuity, the respect, the honor. They run through the wall for their coach. You know, Philadelphia's shaky right now.
Okay.
Understand what I'm saying? That's basically how I feel right now. Yeah, but I got Detroit. Yeah, most definitely.
Right.
San Francisco time is up. It's over for them. If Detroit is the beast of the East, NFC. So,
all right.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, brother.
I appreciate the call, Bruce. Thank you, man.
All right.
No doubt. All right. So Bruce has Detroit being the new beast of the East. And again, I'm not mad at that. I'm just saying I think there's an argument for Philly. Detroit's 8-1, Philly's 8-2. Like, I think there's a legit argument. Let's take this call from Laker Nation.
Detroit's 8-1.
Laker Nation is good.
Hello? Yeah, I had.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wasn't gonna call in, but you ain't gonna disrespect my Niners like that, bro.
I think that there's a legitimate argument for saying that the Niners' time might be done, and the reason why I'll say I think there might be an argument for that is because what's his name? Who's your receiver? That Ayuk. I think he's done for the year, right?
Bro, listen.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Listen up. This is mainly because I last call it said it like 15 times. I was gonna let the first 4 slide. Look, I don't make excuses. We hit it started in the Super Bowl, with the injuries. That was a big clog in our defense. But CMC just got back. We still have a shot with our division.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be one of those, get a good draft pick, a solid draft pick year, and retool year to see what pieces is working and what needs to be reshaped.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be, Mr. Lynch has been doing a very good job constructing the team. I didn't like a lot of moves. I wanted them to be a little bit more aggressive, but he has shown that he's patient and making the correct moves. Purdy is still developing. They've been, saying that they're done means like they're done. They're not going to be a factor no more going forward. They need to gut the team and start over scratch. No, they don't.
I don't think it means that. I think it means that seeing them as the class of the conference and being almost penciled in to the conference title game regularly, I think that has passed. I think that's what he's saying. But here's the deal, right? Obviously, I can't speak for him, but I think that's what he's saying. So here's the other thing, right? After this season, you got to pay Brock Purdy. So now it's okay. If you give him the contract that he deserves and that he has earned, that starts affecting who else you can keep on the team. So I think all those are things we need to take into account. I'm sitting back to wait and see. What's his name? Shanahan has been able to have a very effective team no matter who is on the roster. So we will see. I'm not one of those people that believes Brock Purdy is just a system guy and that he's just plugging. I don't believe that at all. I think he's legitimately really, really good quarterback, probably a top 7 guy in this league. And obviously from what he's done this far, he deserves a max deal. And so I'm waiting to see how that's going to play out.
If he going to get on, I hate this salary cap in the NFL. Like, it handcuffs a lot of teams while a lot of their stars, they can't keep a lot of their key pieces, which we don't have dynasties anymore.
It doesn't have to, though, Laker Nation. It doesn't have to. It's a matter of if the owners want to properly manage the cap, right? There's Andrew Brandt is a former GM for the Green Bay Packers, and I think he's got a Substack, or he's got a thing that he writes, and he was on The Odd Couple more than a few times, and one of the things he was saying, he says it's BS when they tell you that you can't keep everybody. It's just a matter of how you manage the cap and where you put the money. So, for instance, if I want to, let's say, I'm the star quarterback and they just paid me, and you're the star rush end and they got to pay you, it can be done if the owner is willing to turn some of my contract into a bonus money and give it to me up front, right? But a lot of owners, they don't want to do that because you got to pay that money up front. So it's a matter of what the owner is willing to do and what they're willing to pay or not pay, whether or not they can keep a team together, how they construct the contract. So if you have really good cap people and you have an owner that's willing to pay, then you can make things happen. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, it comes down to the owners. That NFL is all about that profit.
That's right. That's right.
But the highest paid people on your team should always be number 1, your quarterback, number 2, that left tackle, and 3, your edges.
Yes, I agree.
Those always should be your highest paid, and everyone else.
Work it out.
You work it out, and you get what you deserve. Like you can't be. I understand you're a star receiver, and you're like, I'm talking about I understand you want $20 million, and what he was like. What was he got for an astronomical number? But okay, so we pay you. Then okay, so what about? Okay, we pay you that $20 million. Okay, we have to cover the other team's receivers. How are we going to pay our DBs? That's going to deplete our secondary. That's going to make our other side of the ball weak. You got to have a solid middle line. You got to have a solid middle linebacking core to help stop the run. For teams like the Eagles, teams like the Lions, that got that speed on the edge. You need linebackers that can cover side to side.
No doubt. And I agree. So that's right. When so you got 2 things you need to have then. You need to have a really good capologist. You need to have an owner that's willing to pay if you got to put some of that money in bonuses so that it doesn't hurt you against the cap. And you have to have really competent scouting to draft the right guys. Because if you got to let somebody go, you have to be able to get the right guy out of the draft that can be a regular and hopefully relatively immediate contributor. So that way you can keep younger guys on your team that can do it. And I'm not saying that the Niners don't. I'm just saying those are what you need to have to be able to make it happen.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. But the Niners have done that.
Yeah,
and that's why I said the front office is better now than it's been in the past. So they have been doing that. The scouting has been top notch. They have been patient. They don't just make moves just to make moves. They've been patient. If the guy they needed is not available, okay. They'll build up what they have, and then they'll try to get their guy in the next year. So, like, they hit a home run with Debo. He fits the offense perfectly.
Yep.
They hit a home run with the trade with CMC. It fell into place. They did that.
That's right.
Now they got to look at George Kittle.
You know?
But now we got to look at George Kittle slowing down.
That's what I was about to say. The question is, do you pay that guy and keep him? He's slowing down. He's getting nicked up. I mean, he's a very good player, but
that's when you say you got to be somebody with smart, strategic with the money. You can't pay this guy you can't pay a player for what he's done. You got to pay a player about what he's contributed going forward.
That's right. And realistically, you can get a quality tight end out of college, though. You know, to that point, George Kittle's from Iowa. Look at Iowa. Look at Notre Dame. Like, there's schools where Wisconsin, you know, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. There's schools that are very good at producing certain positions. You can get a tight end. You can get it. So you don't have to.
And I was going to say, with this new 12-team playoff, a lot of players are going to get known, and this draft is going to be this draft when it comes to like skilled players to plug holes on these playoff contending teams. They're going to find a lot of key pieces coming up in these next few drafts, because the kids that I'm seeing now, I don't know all their names, but I think the kids I see now that's coming out next year and the year after and the year after that, man, there's some solid skilled players.
I agree.
They may not be home runs like stars, but there's some solid skilled players that can plug in and you know, plug those holes for the salary cap on these playoff teams. That's why I disagree. I don't think that the Niners are out of it.
No, I don't think so either.
You know, you can't. George Lynch has been doing a phenomenal job as a GM.
Yeah, John Lynch. Yeah, you're right.
The owner seems to like the moves and buying in on it. You know, he's not doing Jerry Jones type shit. But
nobody's doing Jerry Jones type stuff except Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I think what's going to help the Cowboys, they just need to move on from Dak Prescott, move CD Lamb to get some pieces for that, and just move forward. You know, they stuck in their old ways that worked in the past. It's not working anymore. They need to move forward.
That's right.
To go what you're saying, I agree. The top two as of right now is the Lions and the Eagles.
Yeah.
However, we still got 8 weeks left.
That's right.
I like the Commanders. They're young. They're hungry. I like the Vikings. They're solid. Their defense is top notch.
All right, let me interrupt you real quick. So the Commanders, young, hungry, athletic, well coached, but they haven't shown yet that they can beat the better teams that they have to play. So there's still some growth that needs to happen.
I didn't say they were the top in the NFC.
No, I got you.
They're moving in the right direction.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're 100% right about that. When you
we're on the NFC right now. You can't count out Green Bay.
No, you cannot. Real quick, when you mentioned the Vikings, though, the Vikings have a fantastic defense, but I do not believe in Sam Darnold. He has clearly regressed since the season started. They got more tape on him now, and all of a sudden he doesn't look like that guy anymore. So I was just waiting. I knew it was going to happen.
But when your defense is top in the league, it really doesn't matter.
It matters, but it helps a lot. It covers up a lot. But I get what you're saying.
It helps, but it doesn't matter. He just got to manage. He just got to manage. He just got to manage he just got to manage the offense. You know, let the defense get rest, put some points on the board. So with a solid defense, a field goal is like a touchdown. So the only way they'll get in trouble is if they run against a high octane offense that they can't contain, like the Chiefs, for instance, or if they go up against a team like the Ravens and they can't stop that run, then that's when they're going to be in trouble.
Right.
But other than that, everyone else is just, trying to figure out in NFC what they're all about.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though, even Tampa, what is their identity this year?
It's tough. If they were healthy, that would be one of the elite passing offenses in the league. But the injuries, man, the injuries are a killer.
I can attest to it. I'm not using that as an excuse, but I'm just even with all the injuries that we're dealing with, we still have a shot to win our division.
That's true.
Even though our division is not the best in the league, but But the Rams, Seattle, and all them, they have had quality wins and they play people tough.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just the NFC West is not in the dirt.
No, not at all.
So we do have a shot. As long as we don't get no more than 2 more losses in the year, we will be
right.
we will be in the playoff discussion. If we get more than 2, then I'll just watch the season off, and I'm like, well, I'll just get ready for next year.
That's right.
I wasn't even gonna call twice, but I couldn't let the blasphemy about my Niners keep going, man. Yeah, I can't be doing my boys like that.
It's all good, man. You call anytime you want, brother.
All right, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate you, Laker Nation.
I appreciate you too, man. Stay blessed.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, team. I appreciate that call for Laker Nation. Always got something good to say. All right, team. So what we're going to do, man, we are going to leave it right there. Make sure you are, subscribed and liked and notification bell, all that good stuff. And we'll get back with you Wednesday night. And hopefully G and Transform will be back with me. But if not, hey, I'm perfectly capable of doing this thing for Dolo. I did it Dolo for years. And obviously it's great to have my guys with me. But, if I got to go back to the old school, I can do that too. So y'all have a great night, man. Enjoy the second half of this Tennessee-Georgia game. It looks like it's going to be down to the wire. And, have a great one. And I'm out. Peace.